Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and thanks for stopping by. Welcome to RGV Aerial Photography's deep dive into images he captured this week around the shipyard and launch site in Boca Chica, Texas. Our dedicated team will guide you through with the latest updates and theories at Starbase, Texas. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe for future streams.
Hello and welcome to another week of RGV Aerial Flyover Review. This week we'll be reviewing ground photos taken by our resident photographer Mauricio. I'm Grandpa Joe, your resident rocket fan, and I'll be handing it off to Felix. He's our live stream producer and Discord moderator. Felix, over to you.
Hey everybody. This is Felix. I am one of the live stream producers. I also help Mauricio running the Discord server, and I am here because Mauricio is not with us today, so I'll be standing in for him, and I'll be handing it over to Indian Star.
Hi, everybody. I'm glad to be back. Sorry I missed you last week, but it was a big Indian holiday. Excited to be here, and I will hand it over to Thomas. Thomas, go ahead.
Hello, I'm Thomas, and hello to all of the space enthusiasts out there. We've got a great picture set today, so starting off, we've got the Starbase side. Beautiful. Mauricio has got some great photos for us here. I'm going to start us off probably over at the launch site. So this is a nice little introduction just to recap for those of you who are new. Integration tower, fuel farm, orbital fuel farm, and the test stands 1 and 2, or A and B, and that's the suborbital farm. So just a great area to start us off with. And we'll go with the first big event that's happened this week. Mauricio was there on site with Booster 4, the lift here.
What perfect timing. That is a beautiful shot right there. So, yes, this concluded the initial, or the third round of testing on Booster 4 and Ship 20 integrated together. They had completed several cryogenic tests in the last week, and this is them pulling it off of the orbital launch table and moving it down to a transport stand.
Yeah, it's kind of incredible how fast they do this, and I'm always kind of interested about why they're using Marvin instead of using the chopsticks. We had a lot of curious questions like, why don't they just do it, when they've got this test article out. It's basically now a test article. It doesn't allow them to do any launches. Elon did confirm Booster 4 and Ship 20 are kind of dead. They're version 1 Raptors, so we're not touching those. We're touching the new version 2s. They're going to be using those for the first orbital launch. And so that puts really Booster 4 and Ship 20 out to pasture, but we want to see them used as well as they can be while we still have them available before they head to the rocket garden. And we have seen quite a bit of like cryo testing and other testing occur, but just seeing an article like this, just ready to do something and not used for much of anything else, that's hard.
I was the biggest fan of 4 and 20 being the ones to launch. I was really hoping they would make it, but that pesky governance of making sure everything's going to be safe and approved has gotten in the way. And you know what? A lot of technical issues have also been at the root of the delays. The tower had to be completed, and part of completing the tower is testing it. The Booster 4 that we're seeing here was perfectly capable of receiving the cryogenic fluids coming all the way from the fuel farm underground up through the tower and into the booster, and same for Ship 20. So they may not fly, but they have certainly helped a lot in the program, and they've helped advance things going forward. What are we looking at here, Thomas?
Just looking at the pin positioning system for the alignment guide that they have for putting on the table, as well as the new transport stand. It's basically the old transport stand, the first one they built, but this is where it aligns to. And this is like the only thing I've noticed that's new about the vehicle. The panel has been pushed in on the left-hand side. That's about it.
Whoops.
Yeah. But it's one of those like, it doesn't really matter anymore.
That's just an aero cover for a vehicle that will never experience maximum dynamic pressure.
Yeah. So, speaking of which, now we have got an article that we can do other testing with. We talked about this a little bit before. And what was your thoughts of what we could use Booster 4 with in your thinking here?
Ooh, so much. Well, you could have tested a lot with a launch, obviously. You could also test the structural integrity of Booster 4 by simulating the forces of a launch by putting it in the, quote, can crusher. So SpaceX has developed a 9-meter compression device with a top and a bottom and a bunch of strings in between that can simulate the forces of a launch. Outside of that, Booster 4, I think it served its duty, and outside of a launch, not much you can do with this except display it proudly. Maybe at the airport for Brownsville. Who knows?
A 70-meter tall rocket in the middle of the airport. The 51 was pushing it 70 meters. Ooh, that's a bit tall for the airport.
At 70 meters, you'd probably be pushing close to the height of the control tower that they have there at the airport, and it would make the airport, because it's a pretty small airport there in Brownsville, make the airport look small compared to it.
We'll just throw a radar dish on top of it, and it'll be the next Hoppy. It'll be great. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. We always love Hoppy. It's like the multi-tool or the Swiss Army knife of rockets.
The Swiss Army knife. Yep, that's a good one. But the thing is, whether it's Booster 4 or Ship 20 or whatever it is, they have a little bit of a logistics issue to work out with the transport to the airport, because Mauricio was telling us that there's probably about 50 different power lines and traffic lights and other things that would have to be removed temporarily for them to transport a ship of even a regular Starship all the way from the launch site all up to the airport there in Brownsville. So they're going to have to get some good cooperation from the power companies and the city government and all the residents who have to put up with a lot of road closures and power lines being taken down temporarily.
Yeah,
Might
one
be a
thing.
good time to bury the cables. It's also possible they could go up the canal and avoid many of those, but I don't know if that would be enough to justify the move. There's also an interstate overpass somewhere in there as well.
Oh, yeah, you can't generally move the overpass. I'm sure they could probably find a way around the overpass,
Elon
but
Musk said, "Hold my beer."
here we'll just pick up the overpass, move it over, move our rocket through, and then put it back because that's easy enough to do.
Yeah,
Guys, we're missing all the obvious answers. We should just fly it there.
Fly it there.
I
I'm
was
sure-
thinking you just cut it up into sections and then just weld it all back together when you get there.
Yeah, but then you need a crane. So
That's not a huge problem.
I guess they do have cranes, but to stack the booster, you need like 80 meters, which I don't think there's any rolling cranes that are that tall, right? You'd have to assemble one.
I think some of the levers are that tall. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Minister.
I was going to say the same thing. I'm pretty sure the cranes that we were looking at, Kong and Kong's big brother could do it, and they're mobile.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I guess you could cut it into, like, I guess it would have to be 9. They would have to, because generally power lines are 12 to 16 feet, depending on the location. But they're probably about 10-foot sections or 9-foot because of the ring heights. Move them and then put them all back together at the airport, hopefully without damaging it.
So we do think it'll go to the airport, or we don't think? I'm hoping it goes to the airport.
I don't think the booster will. I think Ship 20 might.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'd agree.
KSM actually is asking the same question. Will Ship 20 be donated to the airport?
There's a chance. We've got, how many? 4 starships right now that we can work with? Technically 5 if you count 21, but that one's not complete. So I don't think that's the one you want to show off.
4.5.
Yeah, so 4.5 starships.
Real quick, while we're starting, hey, if you haven't already, please like the live stream that you're watching now. Please, if you haven't already subscribed to RGV, what are you doing here? No, I mean, go ahead and subscribe now. And,
now's your chance, is what he means.
Yeah. And if you'd like, please feel free to consider donating either through YouTube or Patreon. Every dollar you donate is another trip out for to Starbase for RGV. Pays for gas, pays for airplane trips, and just Mauricio, he devotes a lot of time, and your money is going towards bringing you more photos. So please consider that if you can.
And to add to that, now's the time because spring and summer are upon us, which means weather in Boca Chica is going to clear up, which means more flyovers, more opportunities for flyovers for all of us to see more pictures.
Yeah, it is looking beautiful out in those crystal blue skies.
So I noticed something that it's piqued my interest. A lot of people see this, and I'm seeing it too. The little labels right on the engine bells. Probably just a serial number with a QR code that says SpaceX and all that. But
Or
it's like
just a number.
everybody sees it.
We need
Yeah.
They have
somebody
to
who
have
like
some
it.
way.
You need to get a telescope out there and take a picture of it.
Knowing with our luck, they're blank.
They're just like rotation markers or something so they can keep them orientated the same way or something like that.
Or it's like a thermal print. Like they have got those little printers that print out. It uses ink instead of ink, just thermal. So it heats it up, and that is
the
just.
sun has cooked them since.
And the cryo has just erased it entirely too.
Yeah, the cryo and the whole hot and cold just completely blanked them out now, so we'll never know what was on there originally.
So the other thing that I wanted to discuss, or that's very apparent to me, is that the paint did not hold up super well.
No, it didn't.
I don't think the paint is intended to be a permanent thing on those engines. I think it may have just been put there for the presentation and like to take pictures of it. I don't suspect that the final engines that will be used on the vehicles that actually fly will be painted.
Yeah, I agree with that. The thing I'm also noticing, like the paint, it's peeling off, it's rusting through in places. And really, like this was one of the big signs to say Booster 4 probably isn't going to fly. We're painting it. We're painting the bells. Yeah, that was like one more little nail in the coffin for Booster 4. It was already behind on its like its production series and even the testing. We never even got a static fire with any of the engines.
Right.
Yeah, and so it's just it's one of those like bittersweet moments to see it go, because you know that something better is coming. Instead of 29 engines, we're getting 33. Instead of version 1 Raptors, we're getting version 2.
And is it
So
really
Yeah.
bittersweet? Because I feel like Booster 4 has run its course. We've done so much testing with Booster 4. We know that there's issues with the engines because of potentially all that FOD and stuff like that. I feel like it's run its course. It's done its duty. We can send it off with a good farewell and
Yep.
put it at the airport.
It
Yeah.
has served well.
It's been out for a long. Sorry, go ahead.
I was talking to the SpaceX employees on my last visit out back in October, and back then they were saying, it's like a guest that's been around too long, and it had only arrived in August, and that was October, so a few months later, they were ready for it to go then. Now I can only imagine how excited they are to get some new hardware out there. Go ahead, back to you, Felix.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was going to ask if anyone actually had the exact date that they rolled it out to the launch site, because I can't
August
remember.
5th. It was
Which
August
time?
5th.
It was the first time. So, yeah, it's been out there for a long time now, several months, and it's done a lot of testing. They've modified it significantly since it rolled out, and it's seen a lot of stuff, and it's probably about time we get some new hardware that'll allow them to test new things and test. A lot of stuff has changed with the Super Heavy since Booster 4 rolled out to the pad. And now they can test those new technologies and new upgrades that they've put onto like Booster 7.
So, Thomas, I wanted to ask a question.
Yeah.
They've lifted the booster using the crane several times, but the booster has the lifting points same as the ship. Why do you think they didn't use the tower to lift the booster off?
So that's one thing where I've been looking at it, trying to figure it out. There isn't a direct rhyme or reason why they haven't used the chopsticks to do it. Like there's the inserts for the Starship; those rotate in and out of place, so those shouldn't be a problem. Maybe they're just not quite ready to do the testing with the booster yet. They already have a nice crane that's able to do all of the heavy lifting for them here.
Maybe they needed to justify the union job for the crane operator.
Well, they've got the crane and they have the operator they hire full time, so might as well use them, I guess.
Yeah. My initial thought was that perhaps the stringers and internal structure of the booster wouldn't be able to withstand the shear of the lifting from those points, but they lift from those points using the crane. So it's definitely not that. The other idea is it could possibly be the tower itself, but the tower has lifted somewhere in the order of 3 times as much weight as the booster. Booster weighing in at 140 metric tons, and the tower has lifted 400 tons, 500
tons, and I think the booster is about 180 at max. So it depends on like if you're counting all the engines with it or not. So with the engines, it does go up in weight.
Yeah, those engines are a large portion of the weight. And reminder, 180 metric tons for the booster is an estimate, one, but two, that is completely unloaded with no propellant. Loaded with propellant, you're looking at somewhere on the order of 3,600 metric tons.
Oh, something like that. With the whole stack, I remember it's like 5 megatons. It is just huge.
A lot of weight.
If somebody looks at Grandpa Joe's Twitter, I have all those facts and figures there. I should probably look at it myself occasionally so I can remember. I love collecting facts. Yeah, that's why I love collecting facts and then just storing them away somewhere so I can look at it later when I need it. But yeah.
We briefly talked about the can crusher. So I was looking at this earlier and realizing there's a lot that you would need to do in order for Booster 4 to go in the can crusher. So you would have to go through, remove the engines, remove the skirt, remove the COPV covers, the COPVs, the HPUs. You'd have to remove all of that. You'd also have to remove the grid fins. So each grid fin would have to be pulled off. That's a lot of work if we want to put this in the can crusher. The can crusher, the real trick to that is that if it crushes, it fails, and it's supposed to be that these boosters are reusable. You put them under the weights of what you suspect your like max Q and other regimes are going to be at. Let's say from launch through max Q, and maybe even plus some extra forces and torques on it that you're trying to almost destroy it, but not fully destroy it. The issue though is that we've seen at least 2.1 that was a test article in the can crusher that did fail. It structurally bent and warped. It didn't rupture the tank, but they fill them with water. They put them in the can crusher with that as a test article to verify that it works. As far as the structures go, and the way that it just kind of failed at the bottom, to me, felt like it was an actual failure of the test article. I mean, if it was in flight, it wouldn't have blown up, but it wasn't a great success either. Unless they were intending to do it that way. And it looks like they did that around December 18th. I found another picture that was on the 20th that did show that it was warped. So December 18th was when they messed that all up.
So I wanted to ask about Booster 7. I saw that one hasn't had grid fins installed. Do you think that might be the one they used to test the can crusher with?
That people have been thinking about that because it doesn't have the grid fins, it would be a great test article for the can crusher.
Would there be anything else that might disqualify it from being the next test article?
It has just the 2 COPV runs, and we'll get to that in just a second to look through and figure out on the COPVs if they'd be able to work in line or not. It's a really confusing question. The only other options for the can crusher are you're using another article that's like 6.1, or if you decided to use booster 5, that would work too. Structurally, it's closer to booster 8 with stringers and other things like that. And then you just use a mystery article we haven't seen at all that's going to appear eventually. That might be another option. So there's like 4 or 5 options of different test articles we can use with the can crusher.
You should always expect the unexpected with SpaceX.
Yeah.
So as we go through, I'd love to discuss the road to the next launch campaign. So obviously Ship 20 and Booster 4 are going to be heading out to the Rocket Garden or wherever they may reside.
Sorry about that.
Oh, hey guys.
Didn't mean to do that.
Sorry for everyone who just saw me. That's Grandpa Joe.
That was Grandpa Joe.
That
we
startled
are.
Me.
I know,
like,
right?
whoa. Why is that on screen?
I just tried to drag it. It wasn't moving.
And Grandpa Joe's all leaned in too. Poor Grandpa Joe.
Deep in thought.
There you go. Hey, that's actually not a bad photo. There it was.
Yeah. So the road to a launch is going to involve on April 29th, hopefully crossing fingers that the FAA will complete their assessment of the questions. And if they have a favorable view, then they may come up with a couple of remediations for the tower, for the ships, for the noise suppression, for retaining water, pollution, etc. So they may have a couple of things there in order to qualify the site. But after that, the real thing is the tower. They have to complete all of the cryogenic testing on the tower. They have to wrap those pipes.
And it looks like they're wrapped. I'm going to eat some crow here because everything looks like it's wrapped so far on the pipes.
By the way, guys, I have been out for several weeks, and a lot of this is new to me. And it's wow, they have made a ton of progress on those pipes. That is huge.
I was looking at this earlier. I was like, oh, this not covered. Oh, that's just the bracketry to hold it in place. You don't cover that. You don't need to.
So if they're covering that, that means that they have passed their internal test for evaluation and they are ready to proceed.
Yeah, so I think they're certifying those pipes. I think you're right about that. I was hoping that they would cover the pipes. So one of the issues we see with any of the cryo loadings with the vehicles is that there's a thermal mass in these pipes. It's like if you took your the contents of your fridge, they were all room temperature, and you threw them in the fridge. It takes some time to cool things down. The thermal mass is the pipes themselves, and you have to bring it down to cryogenic temperatures. But you also want to keep it at cryogenic temperatures. So having that insulation really does help in keeping it really cold and preventing a lot of heat penetration into the system. That is the thing that I was hoping to see, that they would cover all of the corners and every bit else. I don't think they did that on the main runs though, that are underground. I think they're just in segments. So that one I have to go back and double check on. Otherwise, I'll eat some more crow on that.
Yeah. And jumping around a bit, whenever we get to the pictures of the pumps and the kettle boilers, the whole system is interrelated, and those pumps have to pump all the way up the tower, all the way up those pipes, all the way to the header tank on the top of the Starship. So I know there was some discussion last week that they never quite got the ship filled up in the methane tank and in the header tank. So there might be some questions about the pumps, the pump sizing, pump power, installing additional pumps, etc.
They also need to cover all those pipes, right?
A lot of them are covered now. I think that's what Thomas was just showing there.
Oh, so this one isn't. Oh, they're not covered yet.
Well, and Jim Cavett actually had a question. What do they use to cover those pipes?
I'm thinking like kaolin or something similar, a mineral fiber blanket that would be adequate enough to cover these. And then there's an outside layer that's like plastic or just something that's waterproof, really, to keep the water from going into the pipes.
Yeah, vinyl tarp sort of material.
Yeah, exactly. So I do expect that it's going to be all covered up. So these little bits there, I guess they're not quite done with those corners. Got another view here from the other angle of this side. Yeah, you can see all the corners are still not quite there yet. These ones are temporary blankets, it looks like. So they still want to use it and test it, but they're not quite ready. Certain pipes like these, they don't need to get covered. This is the return lines. You're just throwing away money that you don't need to if you cover those.
Thomas, if those are the return lanes, those are the ones that are actually covered.
Oh, gaseous return.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah. So you don't need to do that for the gaseous return line. So you're going to be looking at LOX and methane. You want to pull the actually it's be GOX in this case. You want to pull the oxygen away from the vehicle, and that might be the pipe that we see. Let me go back to, it's this one, I think, right over here. This pipe right here might be LOX, that it's what is pouring out of here, or it could be that it's just a purge line. I'd really have to be able to see a better view of where this pipe connects to, but it seems like it's a purge line. So that thermal mass we talked about earlier, they have to put, like, let's say liquid nitrogen through the system. It's going to gasify as it's going through these pipes. And then you want to have that exit somewhere. And this is a great place to have it exit, because you're going to fill it up all the way up over to here. And then it's going to start backfilling, and also just the pipes going up. You're going to just be having gas just come squirting out the side, as well as some liquids too. It's a
we've
great
seen
place
that,
to do that.
right?
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
That's how they vent from the tower.
It seems to be.
Slightly on topic, our resident aerospace engineer, Swalswart, and I looked at some other NASA tower designs. And we found a tower where, if memory serves, they actually had the kettle boilers and heat exchangers in the tower to reduce the distance between the transfer of the cryogenic fluids from the tower to the ship that they were loading. It was not this tower. It was a different NASA facility and a different mission.
I'm curious why they covered the pipes, the bars, though, part of the structure of OLIT, instead of the pipes. That was odd in that photo. Yeah. No, the other one.
Oh, this previous. Right here.
Yes. Why cover that?
I think it has to do with this pipe. So this pipe
But
has got
the pipe
liquids
is not
pouring
going
out.
through that.
Well,
That's
it's
part of
anything
the
that blows
structure.
back. So yeah, you've got like liquid
Right.
nitrogen that will be coming out of here, or maybe even liquid oxygen. You don't want it getting all over your joints, and so they covered it over to
Come on,
help prevent that.
Interesting.
don't you remember Terminator 2? It explained everything.
Cryogenic
Thank you.
liquid can cause joints and steel even to become
Mind you, it's not liquid, it's
brittle.
GOX. But I hear you.
There will be liquid probably there at some point as well, because as those lines fill up, it will cool down, and then you'll probably end up with some amount of liquid being ejected from that tube, not just gas. And if any of that ends up on the tower, you don't want it to damage the welds or the bolts or the structure of the tower there.
Yeah, so it starts out at, let's say, like liquid nitrogen. It starts off there. It turns into gaseous nitrogen as it goes through the system, and then it starts chugging. And then they will. It looks like they do this on the table as well, where I think that goes from nitrogen to oxygen, because that would be less expensive and it's not a huge issue. You're going to boil off your nitrogen, and that'll work. But the major issue is just making sure you're not getting that liquid nitrogen or liquid oxygen directly onto the tower. Yeah, as you mentioned, Terminator. we can destroy robots with this stuff.
Yeah. All kidding aside, that tower is so thick and has so much thermal mass. A little bit, even consistent amount of liquid cryogenic fluid on a steel tower of that size would not cause a huge stress or fracture hazard, I don't think. It's most likely that that's there just so they can do some welding or something.
Well, it seemed to be they put this up before they did the first test, so it does seem to be related to this pipe, and it's only around this pipe that you find it, and also, of course, over here where I pointed it out earlier.
I'd like to point out that it is a very busy under construction section of the tower as well, so there's a lot going on there. Could be for a number of reasons. Go ahead, Felix.
At the top there, Thomas, on the QD arm picture you had one picture ago, I think it was.
This one?
The brace over on the top looks like it has some of the white insulation on it as well wrapped around it.
Oh,
Is that
yeah.
insulation there?
Both of these, yeah.
Are those hydraulic cylinders or are they just steel bars?
Turnbuckles. So you
Turnbuckles.
actually, you rotate this, and it will pull it in or out.
Okay.
And that will allow you to do fine-tune adjustments. And so one of the other cool things is you can pull this one in and push this one out, and it will help kind of push this end up a little bit
And
if that's
down.
a problem. Or down,
Yeah, for fine adjustment to make sure things line up. But it looks like they've covered those in that same insulation like they did over there near that pipe on the side of the tower.
Yeah. And these will probably be set to be, this entire thing is parallel to the top and bottom to the ground as well. So I wouldn't expect them to be like, we need to tip this up or tilt this down by this much. It's usually this that does all the fine-tune adjustments. That would be the QD plate for the Starship. As also known, Grandpa Joe, you call this what again?
The face hugger, everybody's favorite little alien. It just latches out and attaches to the ship and makes sure it gets all of its necessary fluids.
Here, drink some lox. Drink some methalox. You need that.
Good for a growing starship.
Hey everybody, it's Mauricio here. Can you guys hear me?
Mauricio. Yeah, we
Hello,
can hear
Mauricio.
you.
Hey everybody. So the reason I couldn't make the stream today, just got a special announcement here. I'm at the airport and we're ready to taxi, and we're gonna be conducting a flyover today. So just wanted to let you guys know and wish us luck.
Congratulations, Mauricio. This is awesome news to hear. I'm so glad we're getting some more flyover pictures. Maybe you can sneak us a peek here if you've got some time and we're still on.
I'm gonna try and get that to you guys. Not sure how long this flyover is gonna be. Probably about an hour and a half to 2 hours. So I'll try and make it back before the stream is over, and we can probably get a sneak peek. So everybody stick around, and if you want to support this particular flight, become a member or Patreon, or do a super chat, and I'd really appreciate it right now.
So good news, the skies do look blue. It's not just here on my screen, but on Lab Padres VR cam, they still look clear and blue. So I think you're
Awesome.
good to go.
Oh yeah, we're good to go. We're good to go. Right now we're just filling up the tank on the airplane, and right after that we should be ready to taxi after this, and I'll see you guys in about 2 hours.
All right, awesome. If you wanted to drop a picture into Discord, if it's able to get any connection while you're in flight, I'd love to see some sneak peeks.
Oh yeah, I'll do that for sure.
Fly safe,
Thank
Mauricio.
you so much.
All right, thank you guys. Bye.
And happy hunting.
Oh, it'll be happy hunting for
starships.
sure. For sure, he's bound to find something.
Hey,
there's
Thomas,
always something.
Let's jump
That's the
over
best part.
to the next set. Maybe we can look at the ship or the ground.
Okay, you want to go over to the just the launch site here?
Oh yeah.
All right, so they've got first off the orbital fuel farm. Got your kettle boilers you're talking about here. These are the lock side of the fuel farm, and that was a really interesting idea though, is putting these inside the integration tower. It would make it more complex to get stuff in and out, but it's not overly complex, especially if it's got a whole floor dedicated to these, and maybe a floor above it to be another dedicated side for methane.
Right. You would build it a level higher even, and then have it flow down, and yeah, you'd be good to go.
Oh, flow down. That would actually be even better on the pressures.
Right.
Oh, I love that idea.
Yeah, it has its disadvantages. You would have to be pumping both liquid oxygen and liquid nitrogen now. You'd need a whole nother set of pumps. It ultimately would end up being more complicated, but you would also ultimately end up possibly flowing less fuel through and have a shorter, more successful run. And ultimately, that's what it's about, is repeatable success.
Yep. So I have a little bit of news. The lighting is occurring today. I saw them putting up lights this morning. So they're hooking up all the lines to the rest of these. Looks like this morning, or at least quite a few of them. I was watching on Lab stream earlier. So that was nice to see that they're making a little bit of progress on that side as well.
Are you talking about ambient lighting for the launch site?
For the builds or the fuel farm. So these lights right here that aren't hooked up, they're finally getting the electrical lines run, and the lights, just like here, are still on during the day. Just in case it's not entirely daylight apparently during the day.
Daylight sensors on them.
Yeah, that would be good. But they'll be going off during cryo testing. You know they will, because it's like, oh, it's at nighttime now? No, that's just cryo. It's cold and dark. But
hey, Grandpa
yeah, go ahead, Denise, sir.
I was going to say, Grandpa Joe, there's actually a question directly for you.
Take it.
All right. Science 3993 asks, Grandpa Joe, how much LOX does SpaceX need to dump to chill a Raptor before ignition? Just thought I asked since we were at the fuel farm.
Ooh, I have no idea. Let me think about that one, but I have no idea right out front.
Good. I told you in enough time when we get to that area, you can give us the number.
One's going to be a pretty difficult number to come up with, because you need a lot of factors in order to calculate it, such as the thermal mass of the engine and the amount of volume it can consume as well. And there's a lot of information, because engines are one of the more proprietary and secret parts of a rocket. So we have very little information about the size or the materials or the weight, the mass of a Raptor engine, and that makes calculating something like that pretty difficult.
I think we do have a rough estimate of the weight, and I'm going to punt this one over to Spoilsport. And if you're listening out there, or any other aerospace engineers, and you want to DM me your best guess, I'll repeat that on air.
My guesstimate would be about 60 gallons would be my guesstimate for
he said
the
DM him, Thomas. I'm just kidding.
I know, but it's just my guesstimate. It's just a wild guess.
It's obviously 420 kilograms.
Or just 420 units of anything.
Yeah. Make up your own unit, then it can be 420 units of it.
I like it.
I nominate Thomas AO1 as a unit. Just kidding.
All right, so we're looking at a wall here, And
Before
I
you get
love
to that
staring at
wall,
walls. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I want to give some love to Astro Jen. She did a super chat for us for $4.99. She says, "Thanks for the show, and everyone show your love and donate."
Oh,
Thank you.
And we
The
encourage you to
Astros.
donate because it all goes towards flyovers. Sorry, GPJ.
Which we're
I'm gonna
having
go-
right now.
I know we're having one right now. That's so crazy. That's awesome. And yeah, all the love to both of the Astros, Astro Joe and Astro Jen. Y'all are fantastic. Two of my favorite people.
So let's talk about this wall. One thing that's really kind of interesting about this wall is that they are using these U-shaped cinder blocks, which you can basically pour concrete into to make the entire wall basically act as one solid wall. And that I think they do it all in one pour from up above, and it just fills in the entire thing. And so it's a little bit more, I guess you could say, wet or something when they pour it. I haven't seen them do this before, but they are building this wall extremely quickly. So I think they are actually about to this point now as far as this wall. And the same thing happened here as it is going on over here with these U-shaped cinder blocks. I had the name of what those were in mind like 20 minutes ago, but now I can't remember.
So yeah, the standard way of building a cinder block wall is, there's a hole, two holes inside of a cinder block, and they overlap where one hole from one will be on top of the left-hand side will be on top of the right-hand side of the block below it. And there's just a path all the way straight down. And then you take rebar preformed, put it all the way down the hole, and then fill it up with concrete. And it is pretty much at that point structurally solid concrete with rebar all the way through, and it goes up very, very rapidly, and it's very structurally sound. Quick and easy and efficient. Now here's a better question. Why are they building that wall?
Well, you know why. Multiple reasons why. They have to
it's a
because of
privacy.
methane. Yes.
It's a privacy fence. No,
First one.
They don't want us to see. They're trying to hide stuff from us.
Not just that, they're 10 feet away from the road, dudes. Like, if methane blows, there needs to be, not that these bricks won't kill anybody in the near vicinity, but they have to have that protection, right? By law.
I think it's the opposite. It's anything that you're protecting it from vehicles, trucks, whatever.
Fair enough.
That's what I was going to say.
Fair enough.
In case somebody's like mowing the grass, launches a rock with a lawnmower, you don't want it puncturing anything.
Mowing the grass, eh?
I've seen some rocks do some pretty impressive damage from lawnmowers or like bush cutters. But you could have a car somehow drive off the road or any number of things, and you just don't want those tanks to become damaged because you get a methane leak or worse. You break it and you have an explosion, and then there's a big problem. So
yeah,
back to the whole issue with the bricks going everywhere. Got it.
Yeah, not to get too sensational, but you also do have the possibility of somebody intentionally trying to damage one of the methane tanks.
There's
a lot of. I know there's a lot of crazy people out there.
A lot of crazy people, and it really only takes something as small as a bullet or something in those tanks, and you have a leak. And
yeah,
that would be very intentional. And it's not something where we do that normally. But like one other thing is that's not normal about these tanks. According to the way that they built these, they are, as you mentioned, Instar, right next to the road. Mm-hmm. Normally you don't do that. Normally you don't build a giant wall like this either. So those two pieces really do go together.
I do think the wall is required, though. I think
it's probably a mitigation circumstance.
It's a methane thing.
It is required. So I do believe it is our friend from Facebook. I can't remember his name right now, but he looked up the railroad rules and regulations that govern methane delivery, and it has to have a wall built around it. So this is part of a compliance that must be done in order to fill up the fuel farm.
Yeah, so they've got the 6-foot wall. You can actually see it right here. That is one of the ones that in the Texas Railroad Commission that they go through and talk about. It's rules and regulations that reference from like the what was it?
It was Boca's Brain. That's my friend Mike. So yeah.
Oh yeah, Mike. We've met Mike.
Yeah, he's a wonderful guy. He hangs out with us over at the Rocket Ranch or Rocket Roost. Yep.
Yep.
Raptor
Exactly.
Roost.
Raptor Roost. All those are words.
He hangs
You're
out
the
all over the
best.
place.
Yeah, he's the best.
So we do have a couple of questions.
Oh, and a super chat from Rocket Profit for
Yes.
$50 for fuel. Thank you, thank you. Look, you're already paying for like takeoff for Mauricio, Rocket Profit. We appreciate it.
What he said.
Sorry, I didn't mean to steal your thunder there, Indian Star. Go ahead.
You're fine.
Let's go for those questions.
All right. Let's go for those questions. There was a question about the lights. Rohan was asking, will the extra lights have an effect on the birds and animals? When you were talking about the lights.
Yes. So turtles, and specifically, are attracted to light sources. They normally go towards the moon, full moon, and if you have lights that are constantly shining, they will quite often, at the wrong times, head a little too far inland. And when the hatchlings hatch, they'll head in the wrong direction, away from the ocean and towards your rocket garden. So it is something that has to be mitigated. There are certain shades of light. There are certain measures you can have to prevent them from doing that, such as turning the lights off during a full moon. Sea turtles are very finely tuned to the full moon cycle, and they lay their eggs and they hatch on 28-day cycles. So there's a lot of turtle facts. I'm a big fan of turtles, but anyway, yeah. So there is a potential problem that can quite easily be mitigated by conscientious care of how you use the lights.
Yeah, I'll add on to it. They are pointing most of these lights more downward, which is perfect because otherwise you're wasting the light. If you're pointing it up, you're also creating an issue during the night. You're seeing a lot of light around the site, and it's already a thing where birds kind of don't know what time it is. Is it morning or is it night? They're looking at the sky and it's lit up and they can see it pretty well. And so that does interfere with the birds. So bird facts. You got your turtle facts. I got some birds.
And
I can talk about orcas. Just not very relevant for the conversation.
If we get a killer whale up there, I'm all in.
Dude, I can tell you all about orcas. You have no idea.
Would they fit in a starship, and could the starship carry it? Let's
the
talk
answer
later.
is yes.
Well, that's a ULA thing. They like to put whales in ships, or at least whales and parts of whales, to say how big it is.
Well, then they are good as well, aren't they?
Maybe a more relevant question would be, why can't you fit in a starship?
Well, that would be a lot easier to tell. Maybe another starship.
You could fit a house in a starship.
You could make a starship a house. That's how big they are.
You can make a starship into a house.
All right, what other questions do we have?
There was a question about how many raptors are currently in Boca Chica, Raptor 2s.
Ooh, I believe the official answer to that is we do not know. We've only seen officially one, and it was on parade in downtown Brownsville last time I saw it. Has anyone else seen any more arrive?
Just that one.
And didn't that one leave as well?
It was the same one from the presentation as the same one that went to the Charo State Festival. Like, they're the same engine. There's nothing different about it. So uno, but we'll probably see, what was it? Elon said they had 39, I think, the other day. Raptor version 2s currently built. And he was expecting a flight in May. That kind of just got bumped back a month to probably June. So we'll see. But we'll have a lot of testing happen before then. And if we get those static fires in sooner, then we will have the full test.
In the meantime, I'm sure we could get Hoppy to orbit.
Yes. We could put Hoppy in a starship. There we go.
That is the upper limit for sure. So speaking of the test campaign, yeah, you would have to, number one, complete your production of your actual ships, which, it's almost funny to say at this point. It's almost trivial for them to make starships. they could pop them out at a relatively good cadence now, and in the next year or so, I could definitely foresee them producing them once every 3 weeks, maybe a month at most, and just popping out Starship after Starship. Following the production of the Starship and the booster, which is going to become even faster with the addition of the wide bay, the longest stretch is the testing campaign, which includes mounting it to the launch mount, testing the cryogenic pressure, and then doing static fires, repairing all the things that you find broken, a little break fix there. And then after that, you got to get approval. So they can do those in tandem. They could have a Starship sitting on the pad, fully tested, fully ready. And as soon as the FAA says go, they can go.
Now, I've looked at an older Elon number. Was basically he's looking at 3 Starships a week as far as production capacity. Doesn't mean you actually build that fast, but the capacity to build at least 3 Starships a week is where I think he's looking at that 1,000 Starships number that he wants to get to. And that's where you get to that 1,000, is that your capacity is at least between the Boca Chica and maybe even the Florida site. Divide that up at 3 Starships a week is what you could do. And that is huge. That is so huge.
I would like to point out, I did a Photoshop challenge where I put as many Starships as I could in the flood basin right outside of Starbase. And I got to about 700 before I ran out of room and completely filled the flood plain there. So it's 1,000 is a lot of Starships. So here's hoping they've got a great parking lot over at the Cape.
Well, here's the trick. You don't hold on to them. You launch them. They're
Right?
constantly going to orbit, going to Mars. They're constantly being used, and you don't hold on to many. I mean, have you seen like an airline that just grounds all of its planes? Occasionally that happens, but
You mean like the Boeing 737 Max?
yeah, occasionally that happens. But once you fly them again, they continue to fly. Max is back in service. You constantly keep it going. Oh, it's in service. It works. It's been verified and certified by the FAA.
He's buying it, though. All right. So anyway, getting back to the pictures at hand, what are we looking at here?
So they had done this strange little procedure with the 5 lines. So there's 3 here, and then there was 2 more to the right. These are just flex hoses, and it looks like they put some bags or something on them. It was really weird, like to collect water or something. I don't know what's going on there, but they just hung them here. I guess there is a tank full of water, so maybe that's some sort of cleaner, and this is cleaner inside of there too.
Maybe they're testing to see how much debris comes out of the lines when they're first used. I remember hearing about some foreign objects in the lines many months back.
Yeah, but these are flex hoses, and they're meant for pressurizing the booster while it's in motion. So I'm not sure why they need 5 of them, though. It's kind of strange.
It's a big booster.
Oh, it looks like they're even looking at putting something down like a scope through the lines.
Looks like
as well.
a camera. That looks like a scope camera.
Yeah, he's looking down here at what looks to be probably a screen somewhere in here.
Yep.
That's nuts. I wonder what they're doing.
Yeah, I guess they're inspecting it.
I was gonna say maybe it's an inspection of some kind.
But yeah, they go down instead. Oh, this is dry. So I guess these have been, quote, dried. But yeah, I don't know what's going on with this. Obviously this guy, but they're obviously putting tape around the area too to say, keep out of our work area, please.
Yeah, got to have safety first. You want to keep everyone out from under anything heavy.
Well, you know who we don't want to keep out are the 316 people watching the stream right now. We want to thank you guys so much for paying attention. Ooh, I said that and it went down. Never mind. I just wanted to thank you guys, but that's it.
Oh, everybody hit the like button. Let's see if we can get up to that 420 likes again. It'll happen. It just takes a little bit of time. And by the way, another thing we were talking earlier about the patron benefits. One is you can join us live during our rocket photography reviews here. You can jump into Discord if you're patron tier 3 or above. So that's a great thing to check out as well. Right now we have quite a few people in here listening live, and then we go to the green room afterwards, and you can talk to us directly. So
Yep, I'll be hanging out in the green room right after this broadcast, and then you get to hear the real talk.
Well, and better than you talking to us, we get to talk to you guys too, which is actually more fun because we talk
I
to each
know,
other
right?
pretty often.
You guys are wonderful. We love you. All right.
So it's got one of my favorite subjects here, the Can Crusher. It's here at the launch site. It's ready to do something. It's got something related to boosters because it looks like there's at least 10 to 13. I remember there was 13 hydraulic units, but you can't see them here inside of the table itself, though. And then they've got this other thing, which it's like a guillotine. It's hydraulically actuated, but I have no idea.
Enhance.
I can only draw on it to enhance.
I wonder what they are cutting off though, or what it is. Why it looks like half a robot body too, like one of the old, like, you know what I mean?
Oh, from the 60s or something?
Probably, or even the cartoons when they do it.
It looks like. Sorry.
No, go for it.
It does look like it could tension something or lift something into place. Maybe that's what it is. Some sort of lifting mechanism or stretching.
Maybe QD for that new faceplate that we saw. Sorry.
I looked at this and it's aligned down the center of this, but it's off to one side. So if you look at this as a big giant circle, it's on the left-hand side of the circle, and it's pointed this way in towards the center. It makes no sense why they do this, because it doesn't have anything that you can do. Well, I mean, actually thinking about it, you have the skirt section. You could put this inside the skirt between the dome and the rest of it. So it could be for off-center, like they pull on it or push on it in a certain direction for the booster to just say it's going a different direction. What do you think, Grandpa Joe?
So actually I had a question. Whenever they're testing with this, would they have the Raptors on the ship when they're testing, or would they keep the Raptors off and mate the hydraulics directly to the booster without the Raptors in the way?
So the center 13 should be directly hooked up to the pucks, because that's the 13 pucks, or the 13 Raptor mounts. Where these right here actually go between the outer 20 Raptors. And so this is the part where it holds it up, and then this is the part where it pulls down from the top.
Oh, and then these by the way, go to the live comms channel, and there is a great picture I'd love for you to show on the screen. And there is a test jig right there, and that seems to explain everything. So that hydraulic piston in the bottom is pushing on the center of the two hydraulic pistons of the guillotine, and then you could get a reading of the pressure applied.
Oh, and that's made by our friend Hauer.
Go Hauer.
Yeah, that is an interesting idea. So it's testing each piston directly to either push or pull. I think this would be a push, because that's mostly what you want to do, is you want to push or actually thinking about it during the testing of the booster. Yeah, pretty much it acts like a Raptor engine for each one.
I'd suspect that blue cylinder it's basically a sealed cylinder, and they basically pull against, I would say it's probably air pressure at this point, but it could be pushing, and they basically compress the air and they measure the pressure inside the tube to see if the hydraulic cylinder is outputting enough hydraulic pressure.
So yeah, I think that this is kind of what we're looking at. So it pushes up, and it pushes against this guy, and it makes perfect sense to do as a test jig for each individual unit, and then this goes away once it's all done. So
don't you guys just love engineering? It's so much fun to figure out all this stuff. And somebody had to figure out reverse engineering is even more fun. Somebody had to figure out how to design that. What's funny is sometimes it's easier to design something than it is to reverse engineer it.
It's always easier
than undesign.
I would think it's always easier, yeah. Just real fast, that Photoshop photo was originally taken by Kevin Randolph. So we want to
Oh,
make sure we
Kevin,
give
nice.
credit. Yeah. Thank you, Rohan.
What does Kevin Randolph go by? I know that name. Is he like Starbase
No,
Review?
he's
Goes by
with
Kevin
What About It?
Randolph. Yeah.
Oh, he's the man on the ground for Felix. What about it?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Felix Schlang, good
I
friend of
think you're
ours.
thinking of Chief. Chief is another fellow who's there who has a regular name and a nickname.
I think Kevin Randolph is chief.
Oh, well, then there you go.
Perfect.
And then Rohan agrees with you. Okay, good. Well done.
We have multiple German spies on the ground.
Yes.
Actually, they're Americans. They work for the Germans.
We work for ourselves, man.
Yeah, but actually, Felix is moving over to Florida here soon, and I'm
He will
excited to hear
become
about
an
that.
American. We will absorb him just like the Borg.
Oh man, we're really good at that. No, I'm super excited. Felix is a great guy. I've had a few opportunities to speak with him, and such a genuine, all of Team Space. Met Tim Dodd, met Lab Padre, met Mauricio. I got to meet this guy Thomas. I mean, what a wonderful group of guys. Very open community.
I remember you too, Grandpa Joe.
I'm okay on Tuesdays.
You were okay every day that we were there. Oh wow, they're moving around all these pipes and hooking up the tanks already, and we did see some radio radiation like warning signs, and a company that literally all they do is test welds for pipes come into this area yesterday. So I think they're already certifying these welds on the pipes, and that is some really good news. Like these just popped up, they're already certifying them. They're moving very quickly on these 5 new methane tanks.
And real quickly, the radiation for being a sign of them being certified is because you have to shoot X-rays through them to find cracks in the welds.
Yep, you've got 3 different ways of verifying the weld. So you've got a visual test, a VT, or PT, penetration test, where you use a dye, or an RT, radiological test, which X-rays. So that's really fun to see that they're getting there. And this wall is happening so fast. Speaking of walls, we have a shipping container wall that's not made of shipping containers. Yeah, so this is basically a shipping container wall. This structure, it has some doors on the other side, which are exactly the same. They're already putting up the siding, as you can see here. I'm hoping that it's somewhat transparent, but it's not going to be. Obviously, you can see like just between the cracks right here, that side just looks like this. So what they do is they put the siding down, and then they cut the siding, then they put the roof on. And so the roof is sloped to the right so that water will be able to come off of the roof, but it goes towards the launch site, not this other way towards the road, which it kind of just goes towards the road anyways. That's where it's supposed to collect. And there we've got our one of our favorite security guards just sitting there minding his own business, waiting for somebody to come up and be like, "Hey, is this where SpaceX builds the rockets?" And asking questions like that all day long. But no, they are super patient. But it is best to stay on the other side of the road unless there's something like critical, like, "Hey, I just saw something bad happen over here. Might want to call somebody or do something about this." These guys are kind of the ones that are in charge of public affairs, safety, security. Like they're all of those things. They have a lot of hats to wear, including the one that says SpaceX on it, or just have the X. But yeah, this building, it's sad that it's going up because we're getting a blocked view. They put in this nice fence so we could see in, and then they put a building in front of it.
We thought, oh, they got to leave a fence that we can kind of see through, and then now they've blocked it off entirely.
Now we can see the building much better. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, well, maybe they wanted us to be able to see the building.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, this is always one of those funny things to see. It's a pretty sturdy building. The way they're building it, it's got lots of I-beams and whatnot, but it's not as sturdy as I originally thought it was. I mean, the I-beams are thick, but not extremely thick. So it could take a bit of a beating. It reminds me closer to probably the bathrooms over next to Hoppy. a similar type structure for that and strength as well.
Oh yeah.
So we'll see a roof go on. They'll cut the siding before they do that, but yeah, it's pretty good building. Ooh, we've got some nice flex lines right here for the booster quick disconnect with all of the extra lines here. All of the purge systems as well. We always check out this area right here because this frosts up every time we have prop loading occur for the booster. This is the area that we are seeing frost up beforehand. So it's really cool to actually see that they are moving so far and so fast. They have been taking some components out of the launch table and putting them back in as, I guess, a movement of the pipes. So they're lowering them or raising them or lengthening them. I'm not exactly sure, because it is kind of blocked as far as the views, but you can see that they are removing them and putting them back in.
So I have. Do you think they're going to insulate that piece you said frosted up every time they do prop load?
This is like a clean out valve or what is it?
Okay.
Or another thing, but it's not super critical on this one. Overall, though, you do want to have as many spots covered up. This is one that you do want to have access to, and it's a nice visible indicator for the people on the ground like us. So please don't cover this one.
Don't cover it up. And I have one other question for you while you're on that picture there.
Yeah.
Do you think we're going to eventually see a full, like a second outer shell of steel around the launch, like around the launch table, covering up all of those pipes and valves that you can see on the side there?
I believe so. I think they will put a system to go straight up and down like this for both sides, that will cover it up and it kind of goes towards the leg. So very simple system, but it will allow them to protect all of the pipes and everything else in this region. When it lifts off this part over here, this part is very exposed.
Gonna get melted.
Get melted.
And
So
in case of the unfortunate RUD, you want to minimize the amount of things that get destroyed as well.
yeah, exactly. So there might be other ways of doing it. So it might go off to an angle and then angle over like that. So very simple geometry, but it'd be good to see them do something to protect it. We haven't seen anything quite yet, but that's at least one design that you could do. You could do one of many, but it just needs to be steel plates.
Yeah,
They need to be welded to the whole thing.
Normally, you have to protect your launch table, but whenever you're both launching and landing at the same site, it more than doubles the risk.
You are talking about the world's largest rocket here, so.
God, these guys are crazy. Every time I think about it, it's just nuts.
Well, in a way, they're doing it the cheapest way possible as well. So if things do break, but they're protecting them, if they break, they can replace them and move on. I think that's kind of their strategy.
Yeah, I'm going to bet that insurance is not their strategy.
Also, it looks like Mauricio is in the air en route to the sites to get us some more pictures. He posted the flight radar link in YouTube chat. If you want to click on that, you can follow him as he does his flyover.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, yeah, we might be able to track him occasionally here and there as we've going through the rest of these pictures here. So we've got the rest of the build site to kind of look at here, and then we can go to the launch site. Then we can go to the build site, and then Sanchez are the next pictures segments to go through here. Oh, but yeah, this is all sorts of fun and fascinating. You got all the cinder blocks for the wall that are being put up. It looks like some argon for welding, and yeah, this is all of your protection equipment that you need to have. So this is like personal protection equipment. That would be PPE. So it's all of the different things. So clothing, gas monitors. This is all kind of looks like to be related to really the methane tanks over here. So no hot work, no welding.
Two questions, Thomas. So why is it so important that they wear PPE? I remember there was a recent example this week where.
Yeah, we had an incident on a worker with high bay was helping build as an iron worker. He's building the high bay, putting stuff together. He went to climb onto a beam that was in movement, I believe, or was moving in his direction or something, and he fell. But the PPE, the safety harness, it protected him, and he just climbed right back up and continued on working as if nothing had happened.
That was crazy and amazing and not lucky. They were good. They very much managed their PPE, and I am very proud of them for we're many years into a major project, and they have had no deaths on site, which is
Don't
pretty
jinx it.
astounding. Yeah, I know. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
Bless them. They do a good job, which is better than any jinx.
So far, the biggest incident I've seen was looked like heat stroke. Somebody collapsed during some construction. They were not drinking. It's during the middle of the summer, so it's always safe to drink plenty of water, get some shade, pour some water on yourself. That is going to be one of the things that even if you're just gardening, you might want to consider. Otherwise, heat stroke is a very very dangerous
And
thing to have
the
happen.
bugs, malaria.
Yeah, they do have a mosquito problem here, but I don't think they have a malaria problem. Hopefully not.
Not yet.
Not yet. But I guess give it some time. All right, let's go to the build site now. So here
All right.
is a quick overview of what's going on in the build site. We've got, of course, wide bay under construction, high bay, mid bay, low bay, tents 1, 2, 3, and then way over here 4. And it looks like things are moving along pretty well with wide bay. It's kind of closer to the end of some of the things we can talk about, but just the entire site is hopping.
yeah, I know. Let's go through the shots as you already have them in order. I know you love to
All right.
curate photos. Hey, is that Booster 7 there?
Yes, it is.
So Booster 7 this week was unhooked from the crane, the internal, what do you call that? The overhead
Bridge crane.
Bridge crane. It is a crane. I got it right. And it stepped out of high bay, and then it walked around a little bit, went back in, came back out, and went back in again.
Yeah, so apparently they're rotating it. That was one of the reasons why they were bringing it out, was to rotate the entire vehicle. So right here you can see they have the new COPV cover that we kind of talked about this quite a bit last night in our Rocket Talk over on the Lab Padre Discord. And the best part about this is that it acts as what Felix Slang calls it, as a chime, and that's actually it's CHIN, like E maybe chime.
That's correct.
That's with an N. Yeah, it's a aerodynamic surface essentially right now. However, there might be 2 others being put on. So that kind of puts that in question if that's really what's going to happen, or if they put on 2 other areas where they're going to put on 2 more COPV areas and then decided not to. We see that sometimes, so we will kind of watch and figure that out. So the essential way this would work is as the booster is free falling, it free falls at an angle. And these would be towards the not the leading edge, but the furthest from. So that would be leeward. So they would be allowing it to create some drag.
It would be drag force applied at a tangent to the exterior of the booster there. Yeah, no, that is, by the way, a fantastic idea. You're really killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You're turning what used to be a liability of a low mass, low center of gravity, and it having a high profile towards the wind when launching. You're turning it into a thinner, smaller, lower mass and higher center of mass object. And as it's falling, the bottom of the booster is very heavy. It's very much weighted towards the bottom. So having that there as it's coming back in from reentry just really helps it navigate through the currents of the air. So that's just a huge engineering boost right there. So, man, smart guys down at SpaceX. I did not think of that, and they did. So, way to go them.
Yeah, I always thought of using the booster as a way to slow it down, but never using COPV covers as a way to even if it's not just using it to slow it down, it's at least stabilizing it, and that's kind of neat. So the way that they have the grid fins oriented here, it's aligned pretty close to the grid fins. These are 90 degrees offset, so it's pretty close, but it's like right here, I believe. So if you look at the nice reflection, it kind of points at it just being right in here. So it's not exactly aligned with it, but it's close enough to get an idea. And the grid fin way that they built this, we call it the X-wing configuration. Danks popularized that one because he figured it out first. I had
it's a good name. It's a great name.
Yeah. So I was thinking either they were going for 6 grid fins, which was like, yeah, that's weird, or they were going 4 in the X-wing configuration, and they went for the X-wing.
Wait, that was you and I. We were looking at a hexagon and we were trying out different things. I think we did. Yeah. We might have done that pretty early on.
Oh yeah, this was ages ago. So we had like 2 different varieties, and Danks right then pulled up it's like, oh, this is just it's a squashed X, so it's an X-wing. And he got the naming rights because he posted the picture first.
So I want to take a minute. We're an hour and 17 minutes in. And, I just want to thank everyone for coming to our live stream while we explore and discover all the fun new things happening down at Starbase. I'm Grandpa Joe, your resident rocket fan. And I just want to invite everybody to like this live stream, share it with any friends you think who might be interested in rockets. We're always interested in more people coming in, and we love explaining all this stuff. It's really a passion for all of us here. And if you can, subscribe to the channel. And if you have some spare money, feel free to throw it RGV's way so he can continue flying.
And I'm Thomas. I'm a moderator and commentator at Lab Padre, and here as well with RGV doing the commentary with you guys. And we do almost weekly or daily rocket talks over at Lab Padre, which are very similar to this, but it's very interactive. You get to ask questions live on voice or in text, similar to what you're doing YouTube chat. And it's a really fun experience to go through. And we dive deep for each thing. Sometimes we go into these rabbit holes of just the smallest item for an hour or so. It's a lot of fun.
You got to pull up that rabbit hole picture sometime later today, Thomas.
Oh, I got to find it.
Well, Astro Joe, we'll leave it to you to find the rabbit hole picture. And hey, let me pass it on to Felix just to reintroduce and say hi.
Oh, he stepped out for a moment.
Oh, sorry. Never mind. Indian Star, our resident expert and the one that keeps us all together.
What am I the resident expert of, by the way? I'd like to know.
Look, I mean, not to put too fine a point on it, but you've been closer to Elon Musk than any of us. So.
Okay, I'll take it.
You were like what, employee number 100 when you were there?
I'll get you my badge and I'll tell you for sure what my number is. I don't think 100, but I believe I was still in the triple digits.
Wow.
I was
still
maybe 101.
Quick question on that. Honestly, I remember there's a thing about how Elon would hire every individual person he was there for the hiring process. Was he there for yours?
No.
Oh.
Maybe when it came to the engineers and stuff like that, but when it came to the person who did all the buying of the stuff that they used to put on the rockets, not so much.
Oh, I see. That's why things get expensive.
Hey, I got good deals, and yes, thank you. They save money because of me, and I can tell you how much if you're interested.
I actually am interested. How much money did you save them?
At least 20 grand.
Wow.
Nice.
I was thinking 15%, but that was just a Geico commercial.
Well, I know it was more than that. I think I saved honestly about 8%. So, and I was only there a year.
Oh,
I'm an Indian and I'm a sweet talker. So.
Oh, hey, I see a Raptor version 2. Just kidding.
Are you kidding?
No. It's actually like R20. It's Raptor like 29. it's stripped down, it's naked, there's nothing left on it. But it looks like a version 2 because that's kind of the way those look now. They're
So
very
there's
clean.
one that we know of to answer that question from earlier.
Yes, just
And
one.
we also want to give love to 55 Chevy guy Steve, who dropped a super chat of $10. When we get a chance, he's also asking about to say something to him or to the audience to help them feel better about the new FAA ruling.
All right, I've
Realignment.
got it. So I work closely in governance and government, and I can tell you that the FAA is partnered with SpaceX to answer everything. So all these questions that came to the FAA are being brought forward to SpaceX in real time. So SpaceX, and this is a little bit of supposition and a little bit of experience, SpaceX is helping to define how long this is going to take. And I can almost guarantee that the FAA review is not going to take longer than SpaceX needs. And if SpaceX needs until May to launch, I'm sure the FAA will contribute and will work side by side with SpaceX to make sure it happens by that time. So these questions aren't asked in a vacuum. The agency or the company under review is working there side by side with the agency. It's a partnership. It's not just one-sided. The government comes in and says, you shall not launch. They can, but it's much more of an agreement. They're there to make sure that America keeps on flying, and that's their core mission, and they want to make sure it's done safely, cleanly, and well. And SpaceX does have to do that. They do have to fly safely. But, if there's concerns and they address them, the FAA will make sure that they get their launch license. And there's no danger in it going to April or May. SpaceX does not currently have a fully completed tower. They don't have a fully completed booster and ship that has been tested and static fired. It's not time to panic yet. Now, if they get to that point where they are 100% ready to launch and they say, hey, the only thing we're waiting on is the FAA, well, even then at that point, I think it's somewhat SpaceX's duty to work with the FAA to get through those questions in a timely fashion as well. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, so far, from what I've seen, it's really these two who are slowing down the process. So NOAA and U.S. Fish and Wildlife, they're the two parties still involved in the process that they're SpaceX is working with these parties and the FAA. So it's not really the FAA at this point. They're just doing the routine of going through all of the steps and procedures. And right now it is NOAA and the Department of Interior, that's the Fish and Wildlife Service. They're the ones who they are communicating with. They are going through those questions, and these two agencies have additional questions of their own that they are asking as well. And it's just getting those through. And the thing that was kind of interesting was that we had heard about a week ago that there was a FAA official who said, we are looking at the 28th, so we're still on track for doing that. And it is like, well, okay, if it gets bumped, this should probably be the last time that it gets bumped. And so I think this is pretty much the one. We'll probably finish off between now and the April 28th or 29th is now the new deadline. And so it'll be nice to get that moving forward and be done with it.
I just want to point out that Elon Musk said that we will launch by July. He said that over a year ago.
Yeah, he just didn't say which July.
And July's still coming.
That's why I keep saying July. It was an Elon thing, but it meant one thing, but it's actually the other.
2
Well,
weeks.
it could be
It'll
my
done in
connection.
2 weeks.
My connection too, because my birthday's in July.
Hey,
You just said I was
happy
connected.
birthday.
Thanks. Well, anyways.
Nice. That'll be a nice birthday present. A launch
Wouldn't
of
it
a
be
starship.
amazing? What if we were all there too?
Oh,
I am so going. I'll take 2 weeks off and head on down.
Let's go. July. It's perfect time to go too. We'll die of heat exhaustion. Hopefully they'll have bathrooms. We want to give a shout out to Shard Baby 2, who dropped a 24-pound super chat for us. saying that's 4 plus 20 going to flight. I think she wrote a happy face. And then Cessna, he.
Oh, I'm sorry, Shard baby. 420 is not happening. It's 24/7. That's what's going on. We're going to
It
be
might
talking about
even
24/7 here.
it might even be 8:26. You never know. Or
Oh,
8:24.
that would be moving on pretty quick if that was the case, but
Oh,
Well,
still.
7. If 7 doesn't make it through Can Crusher, which we think it's going to go to, right? There's a
Possibly.
possibility that 8 has to be up and ready.
There's
Mhm.
always a chance.
So
So let's go through
if
some more pictures here.
yeah.
we got
I was
stymied on
gonna
the
ask-
FAA.
Yeah, I was going to ask if there were any pictures of Ship 24 to go through.
I believe there are. We can go through and get these in order.
Yeah, we'll get them in order. Yeah.
Okay, so we did point out the engine. There is a lot of great stuff in here. It's kind of blurry on this particular photo, but there's just stuff everywhere, and I'm glad to see it's off the ground. It's on pallets. It's ready to be moved. A lot of stuff that's in packaging from Uline, so that's just a a place that delivers all sorts of good things. But I'm seeing all sorts of stainless steel pipes and connectors and lines just all over the place, ready for use and work in their systems. Plenty of pipes on the pipe racks. That's where they should be. I-beams over on the right. It's good stuff everywhere. But here's another great photo of all this. A little bit better in focus here. And yeah, it looks great on the the number and quantity of things they just have sitting there ready to be producing starships. Maybe even some what is that? Looks like a couple of gallons of like Quickcrete or something. I can't tell what that is. Something ultra. Somebody probably recognizes that label. There's all sorts of labels.
Probably some Martite.
Yep. No, this wouldn't be Martite, but yeah, it's got to be like some sort of concrete kind of compound. Speaking of which, we have a clean out area for water. I believe this is the same water that we've seen some of it coming from the launch site, and this looks to be the I guess you could say the briny water that's been pulled up, and so they're letting it dry off in this little retention pond here that they've got, so it doesn't settle into the rest of the groundwater. This stuff is probably high salinity and might be green due to the rock that it went through. So like limestone will do this, but there's
Well
a lot
done,
of other
Thomas.
materials that this could be picking up that green color from. And you can see this in the aerial shots as well. It really stands out there because it's this bright green color. But yeah, they let it dry out here. This is just a little retention pond to do that. But Mauricio, he went and did something extra yesterday. He went out towards the mud flats when he took these pictures. I was like, "How do you get back there?" And I was just like, "Go down San Martin, straight down, because it's all public property and county road. It's just really trail right now. But you go straight down San Martin, take a left once you get to the mud flats." And he
So our
went out there
resident
for
rule
us.
breaker in training over here gave Mauricio explicit instructions to go behind not RGV, behind the launch site.
Build site, not the launch site.
Build site? I thought it was the launch
Yeah.
site.
Nope, not the launch site. That one's a bit more tricky because there's a lot more property that is SpaceX between you and the launch site, and I don't like to be on their property. I went back there myself. It is owned by the United States government, managed by probably the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, I suspect. So you're not allowed to bring vehicles on the mud flats. You can walk through there, as far as I've understood from different laws and people I've talked to that know people who are working directly for this particular area of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, that you can walk on the property. It's public, but you're not allowed to bring vehicles. That's the big one, because it destroys the habitat for what's inside the mud.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so pictures here. We've got lots of stuff going on with the Star Factory. So electrical is popping up everywhere out of the ground. It looks like they're putting in some more forms to do concrete here very soon. You've got rebar sticking out of the ground all over the place. So that's kind of interesting.
We are also seeing this at KSC, so very similar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We saw some aerial photos of all that conduit, and it actually runs out more towards the taco stand restaurant rather than towards the Sanchez site. So I'm very interested on the
Taco
far
stand
end of
restaurant?
the Prancing Pony.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Yeah. So right by Highway 4, there is a small restaurant there for SpaceX employees only. And yeah, the all the conduit ends up about one parking lot away from that.
Nice.
So it doesn't go. Now they do have a lot of production over at the Sanchez site, so I'm not really sure
let's
how they're
keep
going to
clicking.
power all this.
Well, I've got the picture of it. So this is from last week. This is what you're talking about here. So the lines go from here. They put concrete on this, and then they put a red powder all over that concrete because this is power lines, high voltage, potentially very lethal power lines to warn anybody digging there. If you see red, if you keep going, you're dead. So that's why they do this. And it goes all the way up over to San Martin and kind of just ends there. But I suspect it's going to be with Magic Valley Energy LLC will be coming and connecting to these, as well as that solar farm that's up north of this location here. And there's that retention pond that we were talking about. That's that bright green. You can really see it there.
Yep, that is some high salt brine. Now, and the last time I had seen the aerial photos, they had not made that left-hand turn, so that explains that.
Yep. So it is going up towards, as you called it, the taco stand, the prancing pony, what Elon calls it. But yeah, so Mauricio, I just had him go through and walk straight this way, and then I think the trail is still.
Stop
it's
telling
kind of
people.
Close. But no, over here, you can go to the mud flat.
Yeah, but
and
we
walk
don't want
back.
a lot of traffic back there. They'll close that off to us as well.
Well, this area is U.S. Fish and Wildlife, so that's not SpaceX property. Currently, the area that you can go is Remedios Drive up to this location here. You can't go really past over here because they own the property on all sides, and they are going through and doing a abandonment process for the road over in basically this area and this area, because there's actually a building now in the coming up in place, and the SpaceX is purchasing that easement between the two, and it's being abandoned by the county. There's no actual road that was physically there. It's just road in a name only, kind of like this is. So this goes straight all the way through over this way, and this is actually the old San Martin Trail that you can start to see right here. So it's a historic trail. You can see stuff, you can walk it, but you're not supposed to take anything if you do find anything. I did walk through here, found all sorts of interesting things. The only thing I took was pictures, left everything there as it was. So that's the kind of the Boy Scout model there. But anyways, this is directly from the mud flats. You can even see that there's the mud, there's the bushes. It takes about an hour or two to go through the mud flats. So it's not for the faint of heart. You have to have mud boots. It's best to do it while it's completely dry. So otherwise you'll mess things up, and that's not good.
It's best to use white Cajun boots, just saying.
I knew that was coming. Don't buy white boots.
Whoa. All right, we'll talk later
Unless
about
you're
this.
a go-go girl, feel free. Nothing wrong
All
with
right.
that.
Oh, now we're talking. All right.
Yeah, so here's the good stuff. We've got the polka dot barrel section being built here, and looks like a nose cone. Oh, do you want to talk about these a bit? A nose cone over here to the left.
To the
or
left.
The right.
What did you call the barrel? Sorry.
Oh, polka dot or Dalmatian.
You're very funny with your
cone
Dalmatian
barrel. But yeah, Grandpa Joe, if you want to talk about this for a little bit.
Oh, sure. No, over on the over on the left we have the next barrel section. Is that the one for ship 24 with the slice through it to eject the? Well, that would be on the far side of it. But
would it be for 24 or 25?
You picked the wrong guy to talk about this, Thomas.
Oh, I thought Thomas would jump in, or Rohan, actually.
All right.
Maybe we'll just wait for Rohan. Go on. Keep talking, sir. 24, he says. You're right, GPJ. Thank you, Rohan.
Oh, good. Yep. So on ship 24, they have inserted a slot, or sorry, they have removed a slot for Starlinks to be ejected out, which I would like to say I totally called it. That it would be like a Pez dispenser where each Starlink would be shot out one at a time. So that is on the far side of that picture there.
O does a really good creation of that too, a 3D render of
Yeah.
what it would look like.
Eric X also did a great rendition
nice.
as well. Yeah. And over on the right, we have the next nose cone coming along nicely. I believe that one is for 24. Oh, and 25 is that a smooth? So they switched from using panels, flat panels, to using more balloon formed shapes.
Stretch formed.
Stretch form, yeah. And Thomas, remind me, is that 24 on the left and 25 on the right?
This is 24, and I think this would be 25 coming up next. And I have one thing. The structure on the inside of this, I don't think it's for the Starlink. I think this entire thing is more likely just a test article that they don't put on anything like Ship 24. So that's my crow right now. I'll have to save it and eat it later if they do stack it with 24. But the jig on the inside, I think that's for HLS. So if we have some time later, I might go through some pictures to show that. I showed that last week as well. They're very similar, but they are different. They are very different, but the dimensions fit for a potential HLS. But the problem is that they have that hole on the side of this barrel section. It's not on this side. It's actually on the other side, and that hole basically goes through from about, let's say, here to here, and all the way from like right here to right here. That would be the equivalent size that it is. And that's where Starlink does kind of come to play, but it's just such a weird setup. It doesn't make sense for Starlink unless you're only doing like, I don't know, 4 satellites or something.
Right.
Which would be really little.
No, and it would be Starship has far too much mass to orbit to limit it to that small amount. I thought I had seen something like 40 or 50 Starlink version 2s that could fit in there and go through the slot like that.
Yeah, we don't know how big the version 2s are yet. I haven't seen any numbers on that. Have you?
Ooh, I thought I had. Maybe I've just seen renders that people had imagined. I'm not sure if SpaceX has confirmed anything. So on the nose cone right there, is there anything unique about the nose cone for Ship 24?
Not overly unique that I can notice. It's the heat shield tiles are coming on very quickly. You're slapping them on pretty much. Same thing with that barrel section. I'm pretty sure it's a test article. But there's not really much change that I could notice between let's say 22 and 24. And it's still similar to 20, but 20 is by far not as nearly as good as this one. So they are doing an excellent job of doing the RTV glue. So that's what that stuff is up there.
You don't see any of that red leaking through.
No, it's actually white this time. Yeah. So that's why you see the white. And it's not these lines. This is the felt in between the tiles. So like you can see, like right here and here where they are missing stuff, that is felt. The felt on these particular tiles, though, it's on the tile itself. It's glued directly on, and then you glue the tile directly to the vehicle.
Awesome. And can you highlight the difference between the stretch form and on the right and are there any lines or guides where you can highlight the difference there?
Well, so these are both stretch formed. So
they are. Okay.
Yeah. So the difference is the original vehicles, you have the stretch form panels like this. This is exactly the same. They're welded to the next level up, and it has to do with the height of the entire tent because you have this section. Let me draw on this real quick. You have this section right here that you need to go through and pull off and pull up. And it basically does this. So they pull it up over the jig that it was inside, and then they set it down, and then they will lift it up again outside of the jig. And that's where they will install the second piece on top of that. So that is this particular one right here with that weld line.
Sounds like they need some taller tents.
Yeah, it does, but they're not doing it that way. They decided to just leave it as is, and they have had a massive improvement in quality and in construction. So they still need to do all of the welds for this stretch formed system down here. So this is basically one giant ring, but it's curved. And then they have all of the rest of this up until the very cap, which is this part up here. These are all one panel. So you can see there's weld lines throughout the rest of it. This one here is the weld line for the header tank. Then we've got some other weld lines for COPVs and RCS systems and all of that in here, as well as some structural elements. So this is where your lift points are at currently. Those are the weld lines you see here. And then each one of these vertical weld lines, those are just the stretch form panels. And they went from 4 pieces down to 2. So the top piece up here, then the bottom piece down here. That was the by far best approach to doing this. And it's my favorite, like reducing the part counts, increasing the quality, and increasing the speed of which you can build these.
So speaking of doing all that, Elon through Tesla has done something similar with the Model 3 and Model Y, where they went from having 37 separate pieces down to 1 through their gigacasting. Could you imagine a world where they could use a gigacaster, maybe we'll call it a Terracaster, where it just pops out the entire nose cone and all in one beautiful piece?
That is incredible to think about. It's faster by far because it's one part. It's just that system is expensive to do it that way. And they've made some huge changes on how they do Tesla's, just like how they're making huge changes here with the rockets. So you'll see this particular item. It's been there forever. The problem is we haven't seen it unless we do a flyover. And it's
speaking
the ship
of
is in pieces.
flyovers,
Yes.
you know he's circling the launch, the whole site right now. He's circling the SpaceX site right now. You can see it on that airplane app using the link that he put in the chat earlier. He's actually circling. It's so cool. We have flyover pictures
that'll
coming.
be so cool. Yes, I want to see those so bad.
And next week we should have full house again with everybody back in.
Yep. So this particular element right here, they've changed the way they built the rings, so they are basically 6-foot rings sections, and they used to be 5 rings for this entire section. Now it's just 4. So it's like 4, 4, 4, 3, 5 is I think the combination that they're doing. And so now we see this particular section. This is where the LOX downcomer is at, and this is basically like a plenum, where any gases inside of here will want to go to the top at the edges over here. So as you're pulling the fluids down, it's a nice area to help reduce any bubbles or gases inside of the LOX line, which is perfect. It also helps redistribute the flow and some other things. So this is a really cool system to have. But yeah, it's just one of those little details that stick out to me.
Sorry, Thomas. I'm busy watching the flight radar. Man, that it sure is interesting. You can watch in real time right as Mauricio flies over.
Yeah, let me pull that up so that people don't have to go to new web pages on their phones and stuff.
Man, this is really amazing. Technology, man.
Yeah. So one thing that you'll notice is that it has these weird straight lines and all this weirdness. Sometimes it doesn't refresh properly. You get this kind of jankiness. I remember there was a launch attempt where there was a vehicle flying down and it just kept on going and going, and then you refresh the map the next day and it actually showed the real path was it flew over this way. It made no actual pass near the this area. So people were blaming the pilot for, oh, you canceled our flight for SN, what was it, like 9 or 10 at the time?
Oh no, and it was really just a radar update problem.
Yeah, or somebody just refreshing their browser. So they had this line that just showed it going across with the number of the tail, and it was like, nope. And so right now you can
Poor
see
guy.
the coolest thing is that they are flying over 10,000 feet. That is the area that they need to make sure that they are above, because the TFR that they have right now is 10,000 feet. I kind of suspect that they want it that high just so that you don't get as good of aerial shots from RGV. Maybe a bit of a conspiracy idea, but I don't know. It seems to be related, because otherwise there's no other reason for the TFR like this, especially during non-testing like they have lately.
Yeah, well, and they even put one in Florida too, right?
Yeah,
recently,
around their
which
build
is
site.
going to mess us up quite a bit. The other thing is the app shows him at 10,600 feet. Just saying.
Yep.
Nice.
He's over 10,000 feet. That's he has to be over that, and that's great to see.
And just barely, thank goodness. Look at him zigzagging. Sorry.
Right. Vandenberg is a military base, and Cape Canaveral is technically a Space Force base. So those are both military installations which have their own flight restrictions that they're allowed. So, yep, it's everything related to spaceflight, rockets, and all that. It can be used for good, such as science and the furthering of mankind, but they like to keep people from flying over.
Yeah.
Yay, back to rockets.
Yes.
Yay, rockets.
Rockets. But yeah, it's always interesting to get the perspective from the air. And I'm so happy that he does these for us. He's up high. If they do it any higher, he's going to have to bring oxygen with him.
Goodness, hopefully not.
That gets expensive.
Stop talking about it. So do you want to keep going?
Yeah. Let's just keep going here.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm seeing shoulder blades for all sorts of flaps right here. Nice.
And I see pins on those right there. What are those?
Those are covers. I'm thinking that those are for the flaps as well. I'm trying to figure out. This would be on the nose cone side. So this is curved. So I think this is part of the nose cone section where you have the flaps.
So you're saying these are chines?
Yeah, they kind of are chines. That would be partly what they are. They're covers, but they're also chines. This would be the windward side for these tiles here. But yeah, that's pretty neat.
Have we seen any prototypes?
A bicycle.
Oh, nice. I love bicycles. Have we seen any prototypes that have the new leeward biased wings, where they move the wings towards the forward wings towards the back?
I don't think so yet, because right now I think they're trying to move things around. So they moved the header tank around. I'm expecting if we're going to see a big move like that, it would probably be around SN30, where they start making those large changes if they're going to bring it around 120 degrees to the back and make them shorter. But that is also, thinking that if they've changed things with the header tanks, where they brought the header tank for methane side towards the nose as well, that has some major implications and changes. We have not yet seen the size or shape of the methane header tank. It could just be another dome on top of the LOX dome.
I think we have.
The LOX header tank. You think we have?
We've seen it where we've seen it one inside the other, right? The structure. But before you go to that, there is something you want to point out. Max, you actually pointed it out. The actual flaps are in this image as well.
Where?
I could see the back one right here. I see one. I don't see the other.
Maybe that's the one he's referring to.
Okay, so flap is in at least one, and there might be another one somewhere buried in here. Maybe over here. Oh, I don't know. But yeah, that's so cool. And this is just one of those that like tent number 4 that we were talking about. So tents 1, 2, 3, 4. This was the one right in the very far back. You can only get this from the mud flats, and it looks like they've got all sorts of flammable stuff over here too. Ouch. But
and then also in the next image, you'll be able to see them on the left-hand side, we think, or he thinks. Oh, that's my favorite image. The other one, sorry.
Oh, this one or
that one? No,
this one.
The cargo door. That one.
Yeah, that is cool.
There we go.
That's my favorite
So I've rearranged all of the photos out of order to be more contextual. So if you're trying to follow through at home, it goes a little bit differently. Sorry about that. But
So this
yeah,
is the full-on HLS style door, I would say.
I
This
I
is
would
my
still
favorite.
I would say the opposite as well. There's like Starlink is one potential option in here, and I think they might have the door set up so it's for, let's say, HLS, Starlink, and it might even be the nice what is that called? The way they open up the nose cone, the clamshell design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But look at the welds though. The welds don't indicate clamshell, do they? They indicate
Not yet.
definitely that there's a
No.
structure that's bracing the door for sure.
At
Yeah,
this
Maybe
so
it's
point,
still
it's probably a
lifted.
pretty early prototype, so things are going to change significantly
For
going
sure.
forward.
Oh, and it's open at the top. I didn't even realize.
yeah, they cut it out. And I think this is kind of where they cut it out. Then they took out some more material. So they
Interesting.
reused the material, which is great to see. So like this side and this side were all one piece and they cut it, and there was also stiffeners added. So these are ribbing here. Then these would be the stringers. But the thing that really confuses me, there's not a lot of structure you can see at the top. So there's
Mhm.
nothing on the welding side up here. So
Mhm.
there's no reinforcement there. And obviously having a big old gap like this would not be good for a launch, especially with the lack of stringers
Oh, but this is
or
what you're
anything.
saying that the starlings would pop out of, perhaps.
Perhaps, yeah. So
Okay.
Yeah,
there's all sorts
if
of
you were
ways to
gonna
do it.
if you were gonna throw all of the Starlinks out at one time, kind of how they do now, this would be a much more better design. The Pez dispenser design is also a valid design. You would have to figure out how to magazine them out. Just like a gun has a magazine that loads and fires bullets, you could have a system where Starlinks are not propulsively fired out, but physically just pushed out through a slot. Or you could, such as here, have the entire payload door open. And in this version, it opens down. And I'll correct myself from earlier and say if it was an HLS version, it would open up towards the forward part of the ship or the top of the ship, because you want the elevator to be able to go out and then straight down, and having a door beneath you would kind of be a work against that purpose.
Well, and
Well, so
one
this
thing
whole
to point out,
door,
Thomas,
yeah.
before you go too far, is that you can see the piece of steel that fills the gap above the door on the right side of the gap. So Max Q's actually pointing that out as well. So whatever fills that space is on the top right above the
Enhance.
door.
Well, before I jump to that, because I can't
Mm-hmm.
do two things at once here.
Nope.
So the
Since
door
when?
itself, it moves up on these little pieces right here. It moves up, and then you can rotate it from the top or rotate it from the bottom. You don't want to rotate it from the side, which you could, but it would be probably from the top or bottom that you're going to rotate this entire structure. And you're going to do that pretty much when you're only loading or while it's in space to deploy the satellites or even HLS stuff. Like, I like the idea of having one part for multiple systems. That would be neat. But the HLS side of things is actually more like this. So the door itself for letting the elevator and all that stuff is about this size right here. But let me zoom into this.
So this
piece.
design would be much more important for, say, like deploying a telescope or a large satellite or a cluster of small satellites.
Yeah, and the coolest part though is you can take it and continue this design right here straight up through the nose cone, and now you have the clamshell design.
Mhm.
And so you could either have the piston or the system rotate from the bottom or again from the top. Either way, you basically now have a clamshell. It just depends on which way you open the shell. So this is a really cool design that goes for a lot of ways. And I'm looking at that section that was pointed out here. So I see there's a kind of a gap here, and then there's some welding that's going on here. It's very kind of odd, but it was very preliminary. It looks like they just did a little section here. They didn't do anything on this side.
They're fiddling with it. They're trying to figure
Yeah.
out how to do it.
I think they're kind of done with it too.
Yeah, I agree.
And they've got this brace bar on top, and they've even like put chains around it so it doesn't deform, because it's got no real good structure back there. You've got this one piece of ribbing there.
At a full scale, you'd have the ring above that door to help support that. So the nose that's sitting above that would support that little piece of the ring, so that they wouldn't need that brace bar up the top.
Yeah, this is really cool to see them do this and fiddle with it, as Grandpa Joe's just said. And here's another view of the polka dotted cone. I thought I organized these two together, but forgot about this
Barrel.
one. Yeah, the barrel. Yeah, not the cone.
And we think it's for ship 24.
Yeah, it's
It
got
might be
a
a
question mark
prototype.
on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, considering the polka dot and looking at all those white markers on those tiles, that really kind of makes me think this might be a Pathfinder barrel.
Nope. I think it's just holding those polka dot. Not to say nope, that you're incorrect. I have a different philosophy with my
I
domains.
often am. No, go ahead.
No. But I think those are placeholders. They're there to hold the kale wool in place, because last time they had this halfway covered and the wind literally in one night peeled it all off.
That's
So yeah,
not
these
a terrible idea. You're right.
yeah, so these are the locations for the pins. And they are using these broken tiles that were throwaways to grab onto the pins. It still works. It's just you have to remove these once you want to put on the real tiles. And these are obviously the ones you don't want to keep. But they do hold the mat and the mesh, everything in there in place while you are building it. You are right that they are blowing off and all that, but it's just still very strange how kind of piecemeal this entire thing is. I, for one, would love to see, for when they do the kale wool, it comes in these large sheets that are rolls,
Right.
that I would love to see them just go through, take the scissor lift, put an extension on the side of it, and they do make things like this that will allow you to do this. And you start your kale wool off on one side, you use the scissor lift, and you just bring it all the rest of the way, driving from down here up to this point, all the way over. You have to make sure your ground is clear while you're doing this. And then you cut it off at the other end, and then you flip over the roll, or get a new roll and go the other way, or just drive back, and it would be so much faster as one continuous piece.
You're thinking way too small, Thomas. Look, just rotate the whole cylinder and have it on a stand, and just put all rolls on at the same time and automate the process. Call it a day.
Not sure if you've ever seen a pallet wrapping machine, but they have these machines where they sit a pallet of like boxes on there, and it spins the pallet around and wraps it in this like clear plastic shrink wrap. So you just put the barrel on a little turntable and get like a really tall roll and just wrap the entire thing all at once, and then like stitch it together at the join.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even need to stitch the stuff together, but you just need to do the rolls. I do like your idea of taking, like, mine was an interim level of automation. Yours is like full on. Okay, you're already doing the studs.
Stuff.
The stud's already done. Why not just do the kale wool while it's on there to begin with? You could even just put a pole with, as you pointed out, with all the kale wool, and you unload the entire kale wool segments directly. One piece, you have a person has to manage it and push on each piece, because one thing that you see them doing is they push on that kale wool to have these little pins push out. Now, the mesh, you could do the same thing there too, but I have no real good reason for the mesh. Like, it has something to do maybe with keeping the kale wool pushed back, maybe.
It might actually be for the tiles in a way. And that was my other thought is, and we've discussed this before, integrate the mesh and the kale wool into the tile. And there you go. You don't have to worry about applying the kale wool, the mesh, or it's on the back of the tile. Just plug it in.
Yeah, this is such a cool thing that you can optimize. And at the same time, if you're already on that whole jig that does the studs, you, let's say, do the kale wool, the netting, why not the heat shield tiles too? automate that side as well, because this one, it's a repetitive process. There is some wiggle room that you need to work in with the machinery, so it has to have a bit of sensing. But yeah, 3 suction pads with some sensors there to push directly where the pins are supposed to be at, and it wiggles it a bit to make sure that it sockets it right in, and it pushes down, and then it pulls with the suction pads to make sure that the heat shield tile does not come off, because if it does come off on one of the 3 pins, that means it's a failure, and somebody needs to go through and address that. So maybe a sticker machine with the robotic machine to say, fix me.
You could also make an entire blanket out of the tiles and then just roll them all on together.
No, you guys, you're so funny.
Well, that one's a bit more silly.
So I have a question. Is it true that the HLS Pathfinder wouldn't use tiles?
That is correct.
Yeah.
So then this wouldn't be for that.
Well, if this is a Pathfinder of multiple routes, we've seen them do mongrels like that. We've seen them put starship pucks on booster bodies and do some stuff with the can crusher on that. It's like, that's not right. That's really weird. So they are not one to shy away from using one system or like one test article for multiple system testings. So they have that hole cut out on it, which seems like a really bad cut for the hole. There's 90-degree points on it. It's not right on how they did that. There's something just really weird, unless they're putting more things to that structurally and maybe cutting some more on that where it rounds the holes on the other side. It just doesn't quite make sense. So I'm thinking this is multiple paths. It's like HLS, Starship, the tiles like we see here. We're looking, I think, at multiple systems to test, not just Starlink or something like that. Oh, I wish we could see that little bit on the right-hand side, but it's just missing. Looks like Lisa Simpson with the haircut right there. But yeah, they're putting on a lot of tiles. It's all manual still. Will probably be manual for quite some time, because that to automate things is expensive. But there are some inaccuracies. Like you can see this tile and this tile just do not fit right. Originally, I was hoping that they would have a tile system where you could screw on all of the tiles and then you cap it. And the posts themselves would allow you to, with the screw, adjust the height of each tile so that you could not have any of these issues. It'd be just as fast, but it would be more complex on the tile side. It would probably be worse than what they have currently.
Yep. And look, the outside, the tiles, the cable, that's all just one small and relatively, quote, simple part of the ship. Everything that goes on inside. Oh, yep. There you go. Perfect little slot.
There's the hole. Yeah. But it's got a 90-degree cut right here. It should be rounded. It's all really jagged. It just makes no sense.
Great time to test the Pez dispenser.
Yeah. They've got a structural element right here where it almost looks like it could be rails, but this is obviously just stringers on the outside. With HLS, they're going to have some rails for going up and down. All right, moving on. We have the rocket guard viewed from a little bit different angle. Actually, no, this is the normal angle. This is the Remedios drive angle that you normally see.
1 second, Thomas. We're at 2 o'clock, and I just want to throw out our hourly reminder. Like, if you haven't liked the stream yet, please do like it. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. And if you have some spare cash flying around, please feel free to donate. Every time you do, it helps keep Mauricio flying. And everything you donate goes towards more pictures.
And if you like the pictures you're seeing and you're not a patron member, you should become a patron member. There are some amazing, fantastic pictures. These are included in there. You should check them out because there's so much more detail than what we're able to show in a 3-hour segment. You could spend hours going through these every day. I do. So there's a lot you can go through and figure out. There's always a niche for what everybody likes. Some people like certain things more than others, and having your own pictures allows you to do that. To really thoroughly go into depth on discovering what's going on with Starbase and learning the nuts and bolts of what's going on and how we're going to get to the future of massive
Spaceflight.
rockets. Yeah, of spaceflight of Starship. Yeah.
Yep, this is really the future and the present. I mean, right now, almost everything new that is launching on SpaceX. It's not the only game in town, but man, every other game isn't worth watching.
Oh, 15, what did they do to you?
What have they done?
But yeah, so this is in the mudflat, so it's the opposite side of Remedios. So this is while he's taking San Martin down, and then he zoomed in on all of this. This is pretty cool to see.
I couldn't quite make that out. What did they do to 15?
Oh, they cut a panel off.
Oh.
There's missing panels pieces right here on 15.
On the plus side, hey, you get to see the structure of the wing. Look at all that bracing.
Exactly.
Maybe they were trying to build like 24 or something, and they're like, oh well, we can't find this piece we need for this flap. I know where one is. Let's just go cut it off 15 real quick. So they're just like, yeah, we'll just borrow it from over there.
I think it's couponing. It's a term for basically going through and studying the metallurgy and the welds of a particular article.
And so they are reusable rockets. Hello.
Well, this one's not reusable anymore.
They're reusing the parts, aren't they?
This one's not usable.
Anymore.
16's not usable.
Yeah, well, this is 15 on the right.
So 16 it's not usable anymore.
Yeah, why did they go after 16's flaps? It hasn't
Probably
done anything.
Doesn't have it.
It
these ones are tried and tested.
Yeah, well, this one is tried and tested. This one isn't. Yeah. I know that Golden Boy took some pictures, and I'm pretty sure those pictures show the shoulder blades of the flaps over at the airport. They're just still sitting there, ready for 16 to get its flaps or shoulder blades. Maybe 16's the one that finally gets it. That'd be cool. But yeah, they did take off all the covers for Booster 5. If they take off more stuff, including, let's say, grid fins, this could go to the Can Crusher easily. You put the top hat on, and you're pretty much good to go for this. You might want to take off the COPVs as well and seal up all of the plumbing so it doesn't do anything there. And it just is a pressure vessel that'll hold water for the whole area. So the entire thing gets filled with water. It would be done at the launch site. And I would hope the Can Crusher is bolted down. Yeah, never know.
Can you imagine if it wasn't? How crazy would that be?
Yeah. Oh, beautiful view of inside the windbreak here. So this is low bay. And you can see they've got 2 robotic arms to do all sorts of stuff here. Maybe this is for studs. Looks very similar for the tooling, at least on this one. Or maybe that's just the standard instrument. Maybe that's a weld. No, that looks more like welding.
Yeah, one thing that always comes to mind for me is that, one, they keep buying more and more of these welding robots, which is awesome. They're currently using them mostly for the studs, but there's also a lot of repetitive welding tasks for the stringers, where on the inside of the Starship, they're just welding in a straight line on the stringers, and these guys would be perfect for that.
Yeah, if you get the first bit started, you let the machine do the rest. That would be amazing. And they're like the welders. I oftentimes don't realize how amazing that the human welders are, because they can do amazing straight lines. I will think it's automated, and then it wasn't, and then it is, and it looks just as good. And you're like, okay, this one's a little bit better. I don't see any other problems on this one, but it's like, man, that is amazing. Oh, looks like we got a donation here.
Yep, and also a couple of early access supporters. Senti just joined. He's now a member. I'm sorry. Says he's a member for 3 months. He says members get early access to all the photos on Dropbox if you become an RGV flight supporter. Aster Joe, who's been a member for 4 months, says, woohoo, another month. Thanks for the reminder, Senti. And then a $10 donation from 55 Chevy Guy Steve. He says maybe pieces of S-15 or Ship 15 are given as commemorative plaques to the SpaceX investors. What do you think?
Oh, that'd be kind of neat.
That'd be super sweet.
Yeah, but also it's like, wait, 15 is the one that flew. I got to see that one fly. So it's like it's sentimental to me. I would love a piece of 15, but at the same time I'm like, don't hurt 15.
Just whatever they do, nobody can ever touch Hoppy.
Oh yeah, good point.
Also, Hoppy's 12 millimeters, not 3 or 4. So good luck. Good luck. Hoppy can take care of herself.
Yeah, Hoppy can take a beating. Should take Hoppy to Mars one day.
Oh, so we're back to this particular article, but you can see the latches really well now. So it's just a piece of metal goes down and in and goes up and down with the rest of the door. And this is just like a pin that goes out and it's connected in a triangle to the rest of the body over here. That's kind of cool how that one works. Anyways.
So, Thomas, yeah, we have about 50 minutes left. So just keep that in mind and we'll roll through some pictures.
Oh, we are rolling through. We're actually way ahead of schedule here.
Oh, good.
So we're good. Oh, 21. What are we going to do with you? You just stand around doing nothing all day.
I
So
suspect
lazy.
probably the scrapyard or the rocket garden, but probably more likely the scrapyard eventually.
Stop it. Rocket Garden. Always Rocket Garden.
But it's not complete enough for the rocket garden. And are they really going to pay people to finish it just to put it in the rocket garden?
Listen, they are still building things in the Rocket Garden on those ships that are already there. Why wouldn't they continue?
Oh well, we'll
That's
see.
22. So they're adding stuff to 22, like mostly heat shield tiles. And I think it's for production experience and testing. So they get a new type of heat shield material and they're testing it on 22 before they do everything for like ship 24 and that kind of thing. But 21, like Elon, he wants his workers to actually be doing stuff. The same thing happens to be for starships. He wants them to be doing stuff. And this one is doing a whole lot of nothing. And oh, I see a coupon about to happen. So yes, they're going to cut that up and say, I want this piece. This is my memorabilia right here.
That would be one expensive coupon. Don't take that to the grocery store.
Oh, that, like, I don't even think you could. It would weigh a lot.
It would also be the opposite of a coupon at the grocery store.
Yeah. We don't accept stainless steel scrap. This isn't scrap. This is a coupon of 21.
Do you know what this is?
Do you even know what I'm holding right now?
You know, I'm sure there's quite a few people in Brownsville who are like, we've seen it. It's cool. Whatever.
Yeah.
That thing blew out my windows.
Meanwhile, everybody else in the world and everyone watching here is just losing their minds at how amazing all this is. Ooh, what's that starfish thing?
Looks like tape all
It's
over.
a lot of tape.
Cover. But yes, it looks very insidious.
Goes along with that whole face sucker thing of the QD. Face
Yes, it does. It's like eyelashes coming out of the pupil. Oh my gosh, that looks so creepy. Anyways.
Somebody pointed out something super neat to me that they had actually transformed those hatches into Starlink terminals.
Yeah.
So I've heard that. I don't know if that's 100% true, but that was and that makes perfect sense because they used to be metal and now they're kind of that composite.
So on ship 22, and you might be seeing this here on ship 24 as well. I'm sorry, 20 and 24. They've got, looks like just normal heat shield tiles. Not normal, sorry. These are the ones transparent to radio. So it would be the ones that you put here. So it's the same heat shield tiles you would put here. You would put right on the manhole cover. So any heat that is there, it doesn't bleed through to the Starlink terminal. And the terminal is pretty much just right up against the surface of the entire thing. And it's basically this would be the section. Let me look at this again here. Yeah, this would be the section where you would be looking at the barrel section of the ship itself. Which makes me wonder about this. Am I looking at this right still? Because Either this is the LOX tank. Yeah, this looks like this would be the LOX tank here, which that doesn't make sense for heat shield material. I don't know. That is confusing. They're gluing something on right here, which I can't really see. Is there another picture? That's a little bit better. Okay, yeah, that's just a hole. There is nothing glued on in the center. It's this red stuff, whatever this is, or behind the red stuff that they are gluing on. That's typically what the tape's all about. Unless this tape is, I'm tired of getting cut everywhere. When I go through the manhole, I'm putting this on there.
It could be some sort of mounting bracket that they were trying to get just right into position so they could secure it.
Yeah. I'm sorry. This would be the CH4 tank. This is the LOX tank down here.
Ah.
So, yeah. But yeah, they've got the Ullage thruster on ship 24. It's really cool to see.
Invented on the spot by Tim Dodd, the everyday astronaut.
And Elon Musk approved and confirmed right there on the spot.
It really goes to show how quickly he thinks on the fly. And yeah, who knows what next brilliant idea they've come up with inside and out.
I thought I ordered these pictures a little bit better chronologically. Obviously, this one's not the same.
Don't worry, you're doing great, Thomas.
But yeah, you can see all sorts of nifty little odds and ends in there. But yeah, U-line all over the place. And looks like bubble wrap, in fact. Economy bubble wrap.
So Amazon owns Blue Origin, and I chuckle just a little bit every time I see an Amazon package on site.
Well, I heard a story. It was one of these rumors that Jeff Bezos delivered large quantities of beverages to SpaceX. I don't know if SpaceX ordered those beverages and it was just delivered by Amazon.
Well, that would be a heck of a way of sabotaging the competition. Just send them all the free beverages. Woo!
Yeah, exactly. Get nothing done all day because you got all of the best beverages possible. But yeah, that'd be cool.
Tell you, all of the employees of SpaceX are like, yes, sabotage us, please.
Well, these are all new things. They're still in the plastic wrap. Nice.
What are those? Are those just lines, coolant lines?
Like these are for, I think, the actual engines and things like that. So it's just bent pipe, but it's just really weird how it sticks out of the crate like this as if it's garbage.
So yeah, one thing that comes to mind when we were discussing earlier the Raptor 2, the one Raptor 2 that we have seen was not fully dressed with all of its pipes. It didn't have the actuators to direct the thrust for thrust vectoring. So it was fairly nude compared to the Raptor ones we've been seeing. It'll get some complications on it. It won't be quite as clean as we saw it at the festival, but it'll be better than the current Raptor one, but it'll be a little bit more complex than we've seen it already. Thanks to all this stuff we're looking at.
Are these pieces of the Raptor 2s like, what is this? Just stuff?
These look like either plumbing or some of it could be conduit.
For the Raptors?
Maybe for the Raptors or for just different parts of the underskirt area, or maybe even up above, anywhere that you have any like pneumatic lines. So some of this could be pneumatics.
So where the claws are? The claw.
Yeah, well, the claw under the skirt, on top of the booster. Yeah, there's plenty of places they need all those lines.
But yeah, these do look like Raptor, maybe version 1 pipes on this one. It kind
like
of
they're salvaging the metal.
Well, maybe they're like, hey, we got a bunch of Raptor 1 stuff. Okay, throw it out in the crate out back. It's garbage now because we moved to version 2. But yeah, that seems to be what that is. So I do have some good news. Mauricio is on his way back.
Yes.
So I just grabbed this image. I hope he's okay with it.
Good job.
But yeah, I could tell where he's at. He's near that windmill farm up a bit more north and west of where Boca Chica is. So that is great news to see.
Coming from the not too windy area where I live, it was really amazing seeing all that wind power. And I would love to see SpaceX throw out more wind and solar out there. I know it's not the most efficient way and there's still going to be pollution, etc. But man, it sure would be fun to see more renewables in use.
Yeah, see if I can pull up Mauricio's flight track here. Is that him?
I think he's already gotten back
That's
and
not him.
landed.
Oh, oh, no wonder I can't spot him anymore. So hopefully we'll hear from him and see him soon here. Oh, where was I? I was about here. Okay. So yeah, things are about to get really interesting with hopefully a couple of tidbits of flyover pictures, and that's why you
Oh,
need a patron.
yeah. Pause there for a second. So
Yes.
something I wanted to say earlier was, they had to take the booster 7 out and back in several times to rotate it. If only they had some more room in there, maybe a taller crane, a little bit more space to move things around. And I was like, oh, yeah, you know what? They do. They're building a wide bay, which is going to take care of all of that.
Which is like the Bionic Man, which is bigger, stronger, more adept.
Right. It's got 2 cranes.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it can go left, right, and forward and backwards? Or just
This
left and
building
right?
is what they needed so much. They're building 3 of them. 1 here, 2 in Florida.
Right.
Florida seems to be getting all the good stuff.
That doesn't include Phobos and Deimos if they build them there.
Yeah, nothing is. Yeah, Phobos and Deimos it's nothing related to those because this is all just construction as far as the boosters.
No, I
even
know.
doing some ship stuff
But
here.
they're still gonna have to build a tower-like structure. Or sorry,
Oh
man.
yeah.
Oh no, I guess they wouldn't, would they? They wouldn't build this there. You're right. Absolutely. Sorry.
I'll say this: they don't need a bay for construction of Phobos or Deimos, but it sure would be useful. And I am looking forward to a tower going on those oil rigs, and just custom building a rig. It's vital, not vital, but it's super useful, and it would allow them to have a much higher launch cadence with less annoyance to the citizens nearby, and less interruption of other operations, like say at the Cape. So there's a lot of advantages to using oil rigs. Also, if they can land on the oil rigs with the booster, that really, really helps out with adding more payload to orbit, because the booster has to reserve a lot of fuel propellant to boost back to the launch site. And if instead you launch from ground and you land out at the ocean, you get to keep all of that propellant, add it to the boost, get more mass to orbit. It's just way more efficient to launch from land out at sea.
Oh, this is absolutely hilarious. I'm seeing 3 Starlinks on the AstroTurf out here.
I want one of those streamliners, or what do you call those, Airstreams?
Yeah,
trailers?
those are Airstreams. Yeah.
God, they're so beautiful. I mean, I just love the look of those. If anybody
the funniest part here about the Starlinks, okay, they go all the way up to space. They come back down all of less than a mile from here. Just a bit north is where they have all their internet. So they're like, oh, this is so much cheaper to do Starlinks than install conduit and pipes under AstroTurf.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Bless SpaceX. That Starlink is awesome. I can't wait for everybody to get it. Well,
it's happening so fast. It's version 2 of the Starlink satellites that needs to happen. A lot of those before they can finally make enough bandwidth available for everybody, including people in cities, to be able to get Starlink. But right now it's really for residential, rural areas, businesses as well, but it's just all rural. Wherever you do not have the option to get any real decent internet, so like DSL type territory, or even worse, dial-up, that's still a thing.
Or traditional satellite that goes out to geostationary. Whew, it's terrible. It's like 1 megabit.
1 megabit can take us a second to get there and back. Well, high bay or wide bay. So looking at these pictures, they're getting the paneling on so fast. They're using these platforms to, I believe, bring up the paneling and then bring it up the rest of the way after they cut it, measure it, and do everything else, because they have to do holes in some of the panels to go around all these little pieces. And it is going so fast. So
Thomas, I'm going to be an average layman here for a second and ask a question. Up at the top of high bay, where are they going to place the cranes, and where is it going to travel, and what's going on up there at the top?
This isn't the best image for that. you can kind of see right here, there's this large beam going across from here about to over here. And then there's a parallel beam across the other way. And both the bridge cranes will be able to travel basically the entire length of it from this side to this side, minus one bridge crane in width. And they will be able to do tandem lifts with it. They'll be able to do all of the construction independently from each other if they need to move pieces around inside of high bay or wide bay here. And in high bay, they only have the single bridge crane going down the very center of the system. It's really just about the width of from this side to this side, and it goes from kind of in the middle, or not the middle, this section of the front to this section of the back. It doesn't really have a large range compared to this building. This is so much better. You can kind of, I don't know if that will work on this one or not, but yeah, there is the beam right here. I'm pretty sure that's the rail system, or just above it is the rail. So the rail would look closer to this I-beam down here. I'm not even sure what that is. Maybe it's just a cross brace. But yeah, Bucky can't go back in there anymore. He doesn't fit. He's too tall.
Oh, poor Bucky.
I know how that feels. That's why I can't be in a VW bug. I'm too tall. But yeah, there's quite a bit more to do. It's mostly just the roof at this point and the bridge cranes. The bridge cranes is going to be the big one here. And I'm realizing something kind of ad hoc, but I don't know how they're going to get that set up with as much roofing material unless they do it down the center. So if they lift it up, do it down the center, we're probably going to see that here within the next week or two, I suspect, is the big move for the bridge cranes. And we might see a tandem lift to do that.
So they've been producing this since October. So I guess, give it another 2 months to wrap up and they should be finished with this.
It's so close to, once you start putting the roof on with the bridge cranes, you could actually start using it with the paneling going up while the building is not completely enclosed. It's good enough to start building boosters if you wanted to.
Yeah. Oh, and Indian Star, I wanted to ask if we had any questions out there, if there are any hanging out, or nope. Also, okay. How do folks ask questions if they'd like to?
So if you want to, go ahead.
No, I'm asking. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, if you want to ask a question, you just type ! The word question, then you enter a space and you type your question. So it's question, and then your question, space your question.
And I saw Les537 asked, with all the updates, do you think they'll change their approach to the first launch and try to land it back on land? What do you think, Thomas?
Nope. The approach so far is removing the legs, removing as much weight on the vehicle as possible. Those legs, each one, man, those were heavy suckers. I saw a guy who somehow got one. I don't know how he got one, but it was put on display. He was like an electrician or something, and it was like on Facebook. And I was wondering, like, how did he move that? Like, that's going to take like 2 people just to lift, because it's probably over 600 pounds just to lift that one thing. So he's probably just rolling it down the hallway.
The crush core leg?
Yeah, the crush core legs. He had like the whole thing. It was like, wow, how did you get that?
So
somebody got some scrap, I guess.
Is Felix still around? I was going to ask him when he thinks the first booster to be caught, when that'll be happening.
Ooh, that's a hard one.
I know.
Let me see. First booster to be caught. See, it's hard to tell because who knows if they'll skip numbers on you. But I was thinking I should just say probably 4 or 5. Like 4 or 5 from now if you're not counting booster 4. So 7 on if they don't crush 7. I would say if they keep going with the numbers, we're looking at 28 for the first catch. 28, 29.
Oh, for the Starship or for the booster?
Sorry. I'm confused. If we're looking at the booster, we're going to be looking at probably booster 12 or 12 or 13.
What about Starship? Now, so Starship, I'll say, is a much, much harder problem. because they have to do the crazy Elon, the flip and stuff and all that. So, ooh, that's a much more dangerous one. When do you think they'll catch a Starship? I'm gonna bet 40 plus.
Catch of Starship, I suspect at first we'll probably see expendable starships being used, or they'll just either break them up or land them in the ocean. Probably we're going for Starship. We're on like 22, 20. We're probably looking in the 30s. I would say low 30s, and probably a less. I don't know. Maybe an unpopular opinion, maybe not. It wouldn't surprise me at all if we see them landing a Starship on the drone ship, or a drone ship, considering for in the earlier phases, I had heard it mentioned by some people ages ago being possible, and it wouldn't surprise me if they attempted at some point, as opposed to landing as straight catch, because catching the Starship is going to be significantly harder than catching the booster on the chopsticks.
Ooh. You know what? I've got a friend who knows some of the drone ship folks. I'll see if I can find out if they're going to land there. I'll let you know.
All right.
Well, I've got some cool pictures I've just kind of breezed through here, but this one is probably very useful to kind of discuss and talk about. You can see a puck section for engine mount just right here. You've got the bellows, you've got locks, inlets, and yeah, this thing is going to be kind of cool to see which ship this goes for. I'm kind of suspecting maybe 26, 27, somewhere around there, if we haven't seen the pucks for those already. But there's the new flatter dome right there, and it's been topped off. They've got the top on the dome already there.
Is that new stretch form process they've been integrating into most of their new processes?
Yeah, I mean these technically are stretch formed right here as well, I believe. But this is much better because you're dealing with like 18 panels plus one in the center, which we see that is now there. So there's 19 pieces versus this, which is like, I don't know, 30 something. So there's more welds that this has to do. This doesn't actually save you as much on fuel and other things.
Look at those zipper welds. That's pretty tough.
Oh yeah, you got the weld doublers everywhere. You might still do weld doublers on this. That still might be a thing, and I'm doing the thing where I zoom in and out. Sorry about that. This might be the way that they've done this. It's hard to tell. It sticks out a little bit here. I don't know.
It looks so clean.
This could be friction stir weld, which I don't really. It doesn't really be. It kind of looks like it here, but then here the defects, I don't see that with friction stir weld.
Real quick, can you go over like the 3 or 4 types of welding, just like in 30 seconds or less?
Yeah, so stick weld, TIG weld, those are going to be your normal welding that you're seeing with Starship. Like a stick weld, you actually add in material. TIG weld, you're just going through and welding it directly using the material that's already there, I believe. It's been a while since I've studied this.
And that's called autogeneous whenever you're using the material already there. By the way, the argon is used to shield the weld so that no oxygen gets in there, so the hot metal doesn't oxidize instantly, and it leads to a stronger product. So that's why you see all the argon laying around the site.
Yeah, you even have problems with nitrogen in hot welds as well. There's nitrogen cracks that will form.
Then you have what is friction stir welding? Is that where you get 2 pieces of metal basically, or 2 pieces of metal put together, and then you have a 3rd and 4th metal thing that just friction rubs them together until they heat up and melt together?
Sort of. So you have to have a system to really squish these 2 panels together. There can't be any movement of the panels. And then you have a piece that goes in and it just rotates. Doesn't even rotate that fast. It has to be rotating and compressing. And there will be another one that you will usually come up and rotate and compress it in the opposite direction. So material this thin, you're dealing with like micro friction stir welding if you're going to be doing stir welding here, because that's going to be like, maybe 4 millimeters ish, maybe 5. Yeah. So you have to do micro friction stir welding if you're going to do something like that. And then you're going to have to use a tungsten bit because this is going to be very hard and hot material to be working with. So you need like tungsten or something even stronger than that to do this type of work with stainless steel. You can. It's just the process, because it's really expensive. So it's either that or they cleaned up the welds. So like looking at these welds, it looks nothing like the ones to the left. And this is the
They
new style too.
they could have polished them. Sometimes they'll take a grinder and grind off the surface, smooth them out, and like use a buffing wheel on there to make them look nice. Um, I don't know if I don't know if we've seen any friction stir welding machines there or been delivered, at least that I know of.
Yeah, this would be a really expensive one that would have to be a single line going in an arc. So it has to run on like a rail that follows this same
Yeah,
shape. It has to have a lot of strength, no movement, no slop. It has to be precise. It gets, as I said, really expensive to do this
What
if you're
about
doing
and
friction
it's
stir weld.
steel too, which makes it a lot harder. If it was aluminum, like more standard rockets, friction stir welding's a lot easier, but on steel
Yeah.
you need a harder bit, like you said, tungsten, and it's harder to get friction stir welding to be strong and accurate on steel compared to aluminum.
Oh no, steel, it like when you get it down and you're doing it right, it is an
Yeah,
amazing process. And even with steel, it is actually stronger on the weld than the rest of the material.
sure.
So usually you are weakening the area around the weld, where this is the exact opposite. It plasticizes the material. It doesn't actually melt it. It just plasticizes it and rotates it and kind of mixes it together. Think of like cookie dough. That's the way that
Yeah,
it kind of mixes stuff together when you do it this way. So you have a better combination of the properties, and it is stronger than any other weld. It's actually stronger than the material oftentimes. So that's the way that you can go if you really want strong welds with less material. Otherwise, you do end up with weld doublers and things like that when you do it this way. So I'm still kind of looking for more pictures of this that are zoomed in like that, and we'll
maybe
hopefully get
it's
some.
maybe it's lasers.
Oh, Taji's laser welding is a good one too.
Yeah. No, I don't think we've seen lasers. I'll bet $1 that was just a really good welder.
yeah, probably just a guy who's really good at his job, loves his job, and did a good job.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just peeking out there, just saying hi. But yeah, that is my favorite piece. I did a measurement a little bit ago to say, about how high is this? If this is 9 meters in diameter and this one's 9 meters in diameter, how tall are these? This I'm getting about 3.6 meters in height. This I'm getting about 2.6 meters in height. So they reduce the height, which means that they can now move things around for, let's say, the top dome, and now you have more fuel inside there, which is great.
And you have more room for payload at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. So you've saved yourself this dead space that this one has. This one does not have as much of the dead space.
All right.
So we'll go through and finish up the build site pictures. We've got about, I don't know, 6 or 8 left here. Then we can move on to Sanchez for the last bit here.
Did we already do OLM
We did some of the OLM.
and OLIT? I don't remember the chopsticks.
We did the tower. We didn't talk much about the chopsticks.
Weren't they ground shots, or did you go over the aerials as well?
We don't have any aerials yet.
This week.
Oh, okay. That's right.
Yeah, sorry about that, Felix. Yeah, for the rest of us, we're like, oh yeah, we've got some. Nope, they're ground shots, but these are still amazing to go through and understand.
Mauricio's out. He actually just landed not too long ago. He went out and got us some new aerials. So sounds like next week we'll have some nice aerial shots to go over.
And a full house.
Yes.
Oh, these doors are kind of cool to see. But yeah, nuts and bolts. Ooh, we've got ourselves, looks like maybe a test article, because this is really weird to see. A single ring with a dome. Like this would be closer to a super heavy, I think. No, but that's not super heavy. This is Starship right here. So these 2 holes are for your header tanks, methane and LOX. They're the same size for the pipes, and these parts right here are going to be your areas where you have well doublers around it. But this one says scrap, and so yes, very much a test article.
Hey Thomas, it's Mauricio here. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yay!
No, you're more than welcome. This is your this is
Hey.
your house.
Hey everybody. So the good news, flyover went great. Got some great images, and I just sent you a folder, a Dropbox folder with an image of the new Starbase factory foundation that we can possibly show. We can show it to our viewers here. I don't know if you want to download that photo and so we can get started on those before the stream ends.
Yeah, sure. But where did you post it here? I'm looking
I
through.
post. It's gonna be in the voice chat production.
Here we go. Thank you. I'll grab that and pull that up.
There's also a sweet shot of the wide bay. I took a peek inside of the wide bay, so you might want to. I do want to show that image. That's the first time I get a good shot of that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let me go through. I think I may have passed through that one already. Let me think here. Inside the wide bay from the Sanchez, or not Sanchez, but Mudflats direction.
Oh no, I'm talking about the aerial photo that I just took right now.
Okay. You want to upload that one too, because I only have one photo right now, but I'll pop that up here as well right now. So here, oh, that's not it. That's a ground shot. Where is the? I guess I don't have the aerial shot. I think you posted a ground shot, or at least that's what I see that you posted to me.
It's gonna be under. Let's see here.
Yeah, it looks like the link you posted was of the rocket garden, not the aerial photo.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's in that same folder. You just have to refresh.
Okay, more files are being uploaded. I see.
Yeah. Yeah, we just landed, so yeah, it took me a while to get to my laptop here and upload these for you guys. And if you want to see the full gallery, I will be uploading that later on today. I'll upload a sneak peek gallery for our Patreons, YouTube members, and if you donated, if you sent a super chat, you can send me a direct message through Twitter, and I can send you the Dropbox link to these images.
Could you actually re-upload the link? Because I think it just is a link directly to the one picture I've got up here. Is it the original link that was posted for all of the ones for today?
Yeah, you're right. Let me send it again.
Okay,
In
thank
fact, let me just send you that one photo so that we don't have to. Sorry, guys, for the confusion. But,
Okay, it looks like that link worked this time.
Yeah, I'm pulling those up now here. But yeah, this is cool stuff. Thank you, Mauricio. Oh wow, these flyover shots are incredible.
Wow.
I will pull them up here momentarily.
Get them up there so people can enjoy them too.
Yeah, sorry to be such a big team. Look at that. That is incredible. Wow, we can kind of see what's going on with everything all at once. Got the launch site. We're gonna go through these a little bit more clearly here. But I'm just gonna be pulling these up here. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
So how was
just
sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, how was the flight overall?
The flight overall, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. It was the change in temperature is really pretty different. You know, we're over here at, I don't know what the temperature is, 91 degrees, and you get up there, it's about, I don't know, 50 degrees, wind chills, pretty cold. Had gloves and a beanie, so that helped a bit. So, but overall, I think we did pretty good. It was a clear day. We didn't have to be fighting the clouds this time. No shadows. It was perfect conditions to be taking photos.
That's awesome. There was also a question that asked, do you use the same pilot every time you go up?
For the most part, we do, um, but we do alternate between other pilots as well. We have backup pilots, so in this particular case, our flyover was rescheduled. We're supposed to do the flyover on Thursday or Wednesday, one of those 2 days on Thursday, but the aircraft was in maintenance, so we had to use a different aircraft from a different airport. So it worked out. It it worked out in our favor for this. My goal was to get the images or give you guys a sneak peek before the stream ended, and we're actually going to be able to do that. We go over just a little bit, doesn't matter. Um, I do want Thomas to discuss these images or the ones that I provided.
I'm just browsing through them and letting everybody else look as you're going here.
There was a
Oh,
quick
wow.
question as well. Sandy was asking, are you able to do live comms when you're in a flyover?
Live comms.
Like do a broadcast from up there, like you live stream?
It's pretty windy.
Well, and he's taking pictures, so.
Yeah. we start to lose signal above like 2,000 or 3,000 feet, so it's pretty difficult to do a live stream unless we somehow rig up a Starlink dish on the back of the airplane.
Eventually that's gonna be a
honestly the only
thing.
option.
I don't know
Yeah,
if your plane will survive though, as far as that, because that gets kind of big.
Ooh, Thomas, can you scroll down a little bit and show the progress they're making on the new gas production facility? Look at that. They got
Yeah. So they've got the 3 tanks right here. These will pop up over here. And maybe this other one gets placed somewhere in here. You can see there's like, a couple little small pads that one of like this vertical tank. I'm sorry, yeah, vertical tank will be able to go. So these are 3 horizontal and 1 vertical. They will end up over here. And I think these wells are active. They are producing. It is not economically very good as far as the prices go.
It's
for
not
getting
efficient,
gas.
but it's good for a test.
Well, it's good enough to actually get backup power. So this is a backup generator. They're going to probably use these and these for going through and doing that. And if this is really an absorption column, I might expect that they will use this as part of their process over here. So all of this stuff will pretty much make its way over here to be built into a way to clean up the fuel and use it. It's not the most efficient process. We've got the bridge cranes still there. Everything looks pretty much as we left it last time, except for this part of the site.
Crazy to think all this might get emptied out here sometime in the next couple of months.
Yeah.
Making room for more storage for more building.
Well, a lot of this is like their like fuel production, energy production systems. But this is all land that is owned by Sanchez still. They are leasing it from them. And the actual stuff, I think, on the land, the improvements, they're not actually SpaceX improvements. They're their sibling company, Lone Star Energy LLC, has the rights for mineral rights as well as a bunch of other things here. So I think that the improvements are owned by Lone Star Energy. I'd have to look at the if there's any other building information on this, but they are so close to getting this entire plant up and going. You might be able to see
one note I wanted to
on the road there. That they've got the energy lines coming in this way, so high tension power lines that are underground.
One quick note I wanted to have about that air separator plant is that they actually in the FAA documents had notes that they were going to have 1 or 2 of those style plants at the launch site, pretty close to the tower actually. So producing it on site.
Yeah, that's really amazing to think about. Like they want that much capacity. That is incredible.
And even if they don't need it here, they will definitely need that kind of capacity down at Kennedy, so at the Cape.
Yep.
Yeah, and look at that wide bay going up. I mean, it is. Look at all the trusses they got going at the top, all the stringers they have running. They are making steady progress.
I think they're really working on the right side and left side, keeping it open. see a beam going across. No, that's not here. It's on the other side. It's down at below, goes all the way across this way. So this is all still open. Plenty of room to stick these nice large bridge cranes in. So you've got four bridge crane pieces that are 2 rails each for these cars to go back and forth on. So this is the width they will be. And this is what goes up and down as far as all of the cabling, and then it goes side to side. And then these entire bridge cranes will go right onto the high bay here. So, or wide bay, sorry.
So, Mauricio, did you spy anything extraordinary that you'd like to highlight or have us zoom in on?
Well, I think Jax or one of the, someone from the production team called out the thrust simulator over at the launch site. But
look
at the can crusher, all 13. That's 3 in the center, 10 on the outside. Oh, that's glorious. I don't see where that one blue piece is at, unless it's like maybe right there. It's hard to tell. But that, I guess the guillotine is really just a way for them to test the lifting or pressing capacity of each one of these hydraulic rams and make sure it works right. But yeah, this is definitely can crusher territory where it has to be booster 7. Booster 29 will not work with this. This is 13, where they only have 9 for the inner center engine. So this is not going to be for booster 4.
Yeah,
so booster 4 is good and dead.
Maybe they're going to put booster 7 on there for a little bit, hopefully not to failure, likely not intentionally to failure. And if it survives the crushing, like they used to, like remember when they used to put the starships up on the stand, they would put the thrust simulators under there first, and then they would put the Raptor engines on there. So we might be seeing a similar thing where they test them on the can crusher first, and if they pass, then they'll get put on the launch pad and get their engines.
I will respectfully disagree and say that they'll probably try to crush it, and if they fail, they'll still want to inspect it, take coupons, etc. And my speculation is that they'll test 7, probably destroy it, and then launch with 8. Just guessing.
All right.
Well, I hope they don't destroy 7. I want them to test 7.
I want
to
see a static fire.
Yeah, we want to see static fire, but this will be a great article to test Booster 7 with. It needs to go through stresses like this repeatedly for every launch. So failure is an option, but it is not the option we're trying to hopefully go for. If they put it out and say, they put out a statement, we are doing a test to failure, then it's like, okay, we know that they're going to crush it. It's sad that Booster 7 is going to die now, but oh well. We'll move on to Booster 8.
And like you said, there very well could be a mystery Booster 7.1 test article that pops out and gets cryoed and crushed at the same time.
Yes, exactly.
Also, in other news, it looks like they're replacing some concrete up there above those methane tanks.
Yeah, right here, this entire section.
Seems like they're always replacing concrete at least somewhere.
Yeah, so the thing is that if they haven't poured concrete again in a spot, it means they're not pouring enough concrete. I think they have like a thing with the the batch concrete facility saying, "Oh yeah, you're buying twice as much concrete, so you got to replace something." But no, this is actually where Golden Boy and I will agree that there is a problem with the concrete down here and settling due to the amount of water underground. So there is a lot of water down underneath. It's the high water table level. It's silty soil. They've replaced the upper, let's say, 3 or 4 feet with the larger road-based type material, so larger grain, rocks, and whatnot. And you will have settling happen evenly. The water distributes more evenly with that, but it's the stuff below that is the problem, and that's where you have some cracking occur. And they're replacing concrete all over the place. So they put in new concrete up here. This will probably eventually get replaced again, probably 6 to 12 months down the line. That kind of seems to be what happens. But But yeah, there's booster 4 back at its little locked down position where they've got bolts that they put in for each of the feet on the uh, booster transport stand there. And is that me, or is that the new SPMTs that they own? I think those are the new ones because they're not the red ones.
Could be.
Yeah, there's all sorts of goodies in here that I'm spotting. Like
Let's
the
see. Do they have any additional pumps that they've added recently?
it's just one sitting here, so they've got 2 ready to do something with, but I believe, will need a kettle boiler for this pump to do anything, because it needs to go from this side across over to this side. It's
Yeah.
in the ground for this one. It needs the kettle boilers, or
Oh,
well, actually,
don't they
just
have
piping.
the kettle? The kettle boilers are over at the gun range, Macy's.
Yeah, there's one that's around this size, and then there's another one that's a smaller kettle boiler that's gray.
A kettle boiler of that size only takes a week to build anyway, so it's actually not that complicated to source out.
Yeah, I just think that a lot of stuff like the kettle boilers, the tower siding, I think that is all going to be happening with the FAA. But let me get through some more of these amazing aerial shots. So I don't think we'll get over to Sanchez now, because these are so much.
It's great.
Detail.
We got an overview of Sanchez anyway. So
yeah, exactly. So sorry for not going through all of those pictures, but this is one of those last minute surprises that I love so much. So thank you again,
and
Mauricio.
I think everybody prefers an aerial shot, so I don't think you have to be sorry at all.
Yeah, and hey, if you want to see all those, and they are really good Sanchez shots from the ground, Patreon, subscribe, and you'll get a link to Dropbox with all those pictures in it too.
Not just ground photos, but all the aerial photos as well.
Right. See it here first.
Yeah, they're bearing a lot of stuff over here at the Star Factory. So we've got conduit, and they're already laying down what appears to be, that's just more conduit electrical wise.
I mean,
they're pouring concrete over that.
If you take a look at what they did with the factory, the Tesla factory in Texas, when you have a large scale factory like Star Factory, the Gigafactory, whatever, you need a lot of infrastructure for water, power, electricity, networking, security. Loads of stuff has to go into that, so it all gets buried under the concrete, and then they'll pour the concrete over the top.
Yeah, this is an interesting thing. I'm noticing all these boxes, and then it looks like conduit, which would be electrical conduit, to run power directly to these stations. These would be where the columns are at. These larger foundations are the columns, so it's between the columns, kind of in the center of everything else.
Those are the robot stations, I think.
Yeah, probably hookups for machines or like workstations or different things like that. Probably it could either be like a vault box in the floor where they have like network hookups or power or whatever, or it could be directly, or like a press or a punch or a laser cutter. All kinds of different machines now. Pretty much all industrial machines these days use network connections to like download jobs. A lot of it's automated. So they have to have power and data, and often for like cutters, they need pressurized gas, whether it's nitrogen or a CO2 or water for cooling. There's different requirements for different machines, and they probably have that all planned out where all their machines are going to go, and then they're running the necessary pipe and conduit to those locations.
Yeah, another thing to notice, they've got this area over here being ready for additional work. It looks like concrete has actually just been poured here too.
Oh yeah.
So they've got concrete here. This might just become a parking lot or additional building space for buildings like this guy. But either way, that is good to see that they're using up the land that they have for just getting prepped and ready, because there's going to be a lot of construction happening. I see all sorts of pipes here. Maybe those are water. I can't really tell, but looks like we've got a donation that just popped up from W Animal. He donated $5. Thank you, WL Animal. So Animal's a good friend of ours. He's oftentimes in voice chat with me in the Lab Padre server. He's there more than me these days. So thank you for that, man.
And before we go, one of our favorite contributors, Mr. Rocket Prophet, asked a quick question. Did we spot more CH4 tanks over in the Sanchez area?
Well, let me go back, take a quick gander.
And while Thomas is looking for that, it is 3 p.m. I mean, we don't have to leave right this second, but it's been great talking to everybody. We are almost rounding down. We have covered a lot today. And I see that there's the air separator. There's the 2 big tanks that have been there. There's
these
new.
are 2 normal ones. These have been there. These are mobile ones on a trailer. I don't see any new tanks really. This one might be a bit new. I'd have to go back and look at the last week's. Other than that, I don't see anything there. But let's go ahead and look over the other 2 pictures and then call it a wrap.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, I love this shot. Look, you can see almost just right down the gullet there.
That is an amazing shot, Mauricio.
Oh, wow.
Good job, bud.
Great job.
Hey, real quick,
all of it.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that for those tuning in or the ones that have been sticking around, these photos were taken literally an hour and a half ago. So these are fresh off the camera, you know.
And this is the best part. These are on here even before they're on Patreon yet. That is incredible. Or just at the same time as the Patreon ones. I need to double check that.
Yeah, right about the same time. I sent you the link without the watermark, and then I uploaded it to Patreon. But the benefits of becoming Patreons, you get to download these images yourself and zoom in and look at them on your own time. And these aren't the only images. I got a load of images that I haven't edited yet. Those will be released to Patreons and YouTube members early access later on today.
I'm seeing all sorts of goodies here. The roof trusses are about to be lifted on and put on this side and this side. You can kind of see how this entire segment seems to be from here to here, maybe. It's kind of hard to tell because we're looking at 2 different angles and they need to be rotated, but things are happening very quickly on that. And thank you again, Mauricio. Like the fact that you can get these pictures so hot off the press here. Normally we don't do this, but this one's a very special treat for those of you who've been watching it through with the rest of us here. And you can see that the dome has its cap for the new the shorter one we could see off the side.
Yep, there's a new flatter dome.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you spot in here that's of interest?
Let's see. Where's 24 at?
24. It would be in the it would be possibly visible in it's none of these. So you're gonna have to do the Patreon to get the rest of the pictures.
Bet.
So we do see Booster 8 sitting there, nice and ready to be like, I'm ready to go out and do a can crusher test, unless 7.1 wants to take my place.
Well, that's 7 there.
Yeah, 7 and 0.1. Who knows? It's probably one of these tents here.
Yeah.
But with that, I can go ahead and just show one last picture from Sergio. That was a cool one to see.
Oh, that's awesome. That's very reminiscent of the Welders Union picture from Empire State Building, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and he put all the logos on this time with his truck. I love this. TakeUsToMars.com is on the front of his truck right here, and it's all over. There's even a QR code. I haven't scanned it, but I assume that it goes to the website directly. So that's pretty neat. He's pushing for some heat shield tiles to be done. So that's why there is something about heat shield tiles or tiles somewhere on the truck. I think it's on the other side. But he's got some cool art there.
By the way, does anybody else want to redo their tile kitchen with some black hexagons all of a sudden?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Of course, they're hard to line up compared to the square and rectangle tiles.
I'll call Austin Bernard. He'll give me some tips.
Yeah.
So yep, sorry.
With that, I think we could probably go ahead and wrap up with the last photo here, which is the first one we started with. So I'll
Thomas is
wish
a very full circle kind of a guy. He likes full circles.
Yeah, start with the same photo. It's like this is what you see when you enter Starbase and when you leave Starbase. So that works out. So this is Thomas. I'll sign off for the day. I'll hand it over to you, Indian Star.
This is Indian Star. Thank you all for joining. We look forward to having you next week when we will go over these aerial photos, and there might even be more. You never know with Mauricio. So join us next week as well, and thanks again for joining in today. Felix, all you.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for coming out. Thank you for all the likes and the donations and for all the people who subscribed and became members. If you are a member or a patron, you can look forward to getting those awesome pictures. Mauricio should be uploading them probably later tonight. And then you can download them, take a look at them, and hopefully enjoy.
And don't forget the perks.
Yes. And I'll hand it over to Grandpa Joe.
Oh, let me hand it off to Mauricio.
Yeah.
Mauricio, okay.
Yeah, the Mauricio here, otherwise known as RGV. I just wanted to say that we might even have a new flyover for the next live stream. So just keep an eye on that. It's definitely, I appreciate everybody that tuned in. And like Thomas says, we normally don't do that, showing off photos that we just took. But I thought it was a good perk to, for the viewers that, take time out of their Saturday morning or afternoon to spend it with us. Really appreciate the donations, the support. We wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, and I thank you and I appreciate you.
All right, and with that, thanks everybody for listening to us talk and speculate, and thanks for learning alongside us, and thanks for being a friend. With that, I think we're gonna get out of here. Main engine cut off, stage separation confirmed. We're out.